how could I do that? Do.
Download Telegram. I can make it work.
Yeah, grab Telegram. That's easy.
Telegram Messenger?
Mm, yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Just like
it's
on.
that. It's just an app, and there she is. Uh, with her new style. Look at you all covered up, and you got glasses on.
I've worn this outfit on Cozy
Mm,
before, like this exact
I never
outfit.
seen it.
Uh,
Let me see. Okay, tell her. Do do do. He's still in. Um, yeah, you. No, you look different. You look. Nerd is not the word. Maybe it is the word. You look. You going for the nerdy look?
oh,
No, you're
this
not
is this
going for the
is
nerdy gamer look.
no, this is my like minimal makeup, uh, most feminist Jewish look. I think.
Yeah, actually, real.
Yeah, this is my natural
Nailing it.
form. This
Nailing
is what
it.
I'm hiding behind all of that makeup.
This thing.
Okay.
All right. Off to a smooth start here. Very good. Top quality. Um, in time in chat as asking, is this a question directed at Lav? How do I stop being horny? Bruh.
Uh,
Thoughts, Lav? What's the answer to that?
well, I'd like to. Why would you like to stop being horny? Is it like running your life? Like, do you not want to have premarital sex? Like, why is it that you
Maybe
want
it
to stop
is.
being horny?
Maybe it's running his life. What if it is?
Then maybe you should go to a doctor to see if there are things that you can do. I know that things like Zoloft
The
help
horny
with
doctor?
stuff like that. No, not the horny doctor, just like a general practitioner. They can prescribe you things that would make your latency period longer so that you're
Going
not always
so he should go
on.
on medication.
If it becomes that much of a problem that you need to, you know, if it's ruining your life, I mean, there are other things you could do like meditation or having like not masturbating, have like a no fap month. I'm not sure if that would help you be more or less horny, to be honest, though.
Well, let's get past that. That was a good answer. Good answer. Did that help in time? Let us know if that helped. Yeah, see a doctor. Maybe meditate and stop masturbating. Actually, like, I don't know. Maybe those are good ideas. Just try to relax. Just chill out.
Breathe. Use that frustration to exercise, lift
Yeah,
weights,
get a
do
woman and
charity. No, don't have
uh,
sex. I'm
yeah, get a
anti-sex now.
get a girlfriend and learn how to hate women, and then just stop being horny.
True. You'll stop
You're
being horny if you
anti-sex now? Is
realize
that
how
real?
bad Mormons suck.
Let's
No,
get
that's
that out
not
of the
real.
way. I feel like there's gonna be.
Okay,
Let's get that out
I'm
of the way.
on
Let's
now.
let's do the sex thing, and then maybe we'll have that done right up front. So you're anti-sex
No, I'm
now.
pro-sex.
Oh,
No, I'm completely pro-sex. I think that sex is a beautiful thing where you share your body with another person, and it can be very cathartic, very healing. It's a natural human process. As long as you're not
okay.
hurting yourself and you're doing it with someone that cares about you and respects you.
All right. Well, I didn't really. I thought you were saying you were actually anti-sex now. I know because you made a
No,
bunch of big. You made a. It seemed like you might have been going through a transition phase, or like
I'm
a
trans.
metamorphosis. Into the cocoon, into the chrysalis, and you've emerged as a new butterfly. So what's new?
Yeah.
What's new? Because everybody here, I will just assume, and if not, then you're just out of the loop and it's your fault. But everybody knows about the arc and some history. They know you as a character. Maybe they saw you the first time you were here, and there's been some big changes. So I checked with you before we came live, and you said that you're willing to talk about anything. I'm not going to try to press you anywhere awkward, but do you have any? Can I just like let you go? Do you have anything you can tell us? Give us an update. What's going on with Lav? Where are you at now?
Uh, yeah, I guess I'm in a pretty similar place. But a lot healthier. Um, I I think obviously I had like a bit of a mental breakdown. Listen, it's really hard to be in this space. People are very cutthroat. I consider myself very emotional, pretty feminine, and it's a hard place to be. People are doing blood sports all the fucking time. So yeah, it's
True.
a hard place for to be if you're me. Um, and yeah, I think I cracked under the pressure a little bit. I think I was going through. I've said this publicly. I was withdrawing. I was tapering off of a pretty high dosage of Klonopin for the past year. All prescribed. I wasn't like abusing it or anything, but I was definitely it definitely wasn't doing great things to me, and it's ultimately why I tried to get off of it. But a lot of that whole thing happened while I was like in my 2 week withdrawal, which is a pretty gnarly time to be interacting with people in general, let alone having it like publicly streamed.
Mm.
Um, Not that that's an excuse for like some of my behavior, but just a more of a explanation. And yeah, other than that, I think I'm more lucid than I've been on stream. I think I'm more calm, less reactive. I don't know if I've ever been extremely reactive on Cozy though. I was mostly reactive on Steven's streams. That was the nature of the
But
beast. I don't know.
so
I'm pretty similar.
you're still the same Lav, just not on Klonopin and not under so much stress because of all the
Yeah,
things that were happening. For those
I've
of
learned
us who
some
don't
lessons.
know, yeah, tell us about the lessons and also tell us about Klonopin. What is that? What does it do to you? What's it for?
So I was prescribed Klonopin. I have a like dysautonomia, which is often people with celiac or autoimmune diseases like I do often have dysautonomia, which is like a really poor regulation of like your nervous system. Um, and I was having a lot of trouble with my heart rate. I could get my heart rate up to like 170 just by like anxiety, and I was like extremely anxious constantly. So I'd have like panic attacks in which like I would have to go to the hospital, like the emergency room, because I thought I was dying. And
Mm.
I did that. I did that 6 times in 1 month. And they were like, "Okay, dude." They're like, "Okay, bitch, we got to put you on something." This was like over a year ago. So then I was put on Klonopin, and it really really helped. It saved my life in a lot of ways, I think. But then I used it, I think, for you're only supposed to use Klonopin for 2 weeks, and after that long term use, you're like a long term user, and that has a lot of side effects.
Mm.
But it was helping me for so long, and I couldn't be on any other like anxiety medication because of my heart condition. Um, so I was just on it for too long. But basically, it's a benzodiazepine, and it basically is like a sedative. It works by attaching to the GABA receptors in your brain, makes you more calm, more level, but then it also can make you more emotional. I mean, Jordan Peterson was on Klonopin, and it made
Yeah.
him, more emotional and more reactive and more depressed. I think it took all of my mental health issues and kind of exacerbated them a little bit when I wasn't on the Klonopin. So I don't know. I'm glad that I'm off of it, but I was never on like a crazy high dose. I was never like taking it to like conk out. I was just sort of like using it as a crutch for a while. So
So it mellows you out and just calms you down, makes you chill. It's a literal chill pill. You were
yeah,
on chill pills.
yeah,
All
it
right.
shuts off your anxiety, makes you feel good.
S-
It's like the equivalent of having like a little alcohol buzz.
And so yeah, Jordan Peterson got on them's, but that took him down a dark road. You didn't go as far down the Klonopin rabbit hole as JBP.
No, yeah, no, not quite as far. I think if I wouldn't have checked it though when I did, I could have potentially. Dude, those things are fucking addictive because they're so. It's like I remember taking it for the first time and being like, "This is the thing I've been searching for like my whole life," which is
Really?
scary. Yeah, that's like a really scary thought to have about like a substance that you're putting into your body that you don't make naturally. So
Hmm. So you just felt the way you always wanted to feel, sort of like that.
yeah, I think I have the typical Jewish neuroses that I'm like kind of constantly anxious. So it felt like for the first time my brain was kind of quiet, and I got really like addicted to that feeling.
Hmm. Um, you were gonna, boy, before I asked about the Klonopin, there's something else. You were gonna say that. Uh, well, actually, you know what? Let's just ask it this way. Looking back on, just to again, we're gonna Philip DeFranco it, jump right into it. Uh, with the way things, you said you had sort of like a breakdown. Are you referring to? I read the night that it came out. I read what you had written. You had like written a
Ugh.
not a manifesto, but you gave a big
I
old
was
recap. You gave us a recap. You gave us a
First of all,
summary of events.
that was at my peak withdrawal symptoms. So I wrote that, not that I'm excusing any of it, but I wrote that while I was shaking in bed, nauseous, like withdrawing off of Klonopin.
Wow,
Um, so
gnarly.
I mean, I meant everything that was in it. I meant everything that was in it, but it was a little more dramatic than I would have written uh now, I think. Um, but yeah, I went through a very strange situation on Steven's streams, um,
Yeah.
in which I felt like I was being used for content and for ultimately like sexual favors, and then I was being kind of bolstered because of that. Uh, which was strange. It was strange that I had this personal relationship with Steven and then also he was like using me for content and like didn't care
Mm,
about me. Not that I think listen, I don't think that's the worst thing, right? Like when I say that he was abusive, I don't think that he's like the worst person who exists. I actually think he's a pretty good guy, but I think that he has some pretty maladaptive behavior that leads to some pretty serious interpersonal problems or
mm,
disturbances.
yeah.
And I think that I got caught in the middle of that,
Yeah. So
which sucked.
yeah, that was a. I mean, I don't know how much I want to say about it. It's not really much of my business. We've done plenty of talking about it.
You got me
So
in trouble.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Was it really me? I like that thing got you in trouble. How much was that? Because I don't really know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't actually. I mean, I think about it now and I felt really angry when I figured out that you had told Ethan Ralph or whoever the fuck
Hmm.
about it. Because Steven had acted like it was like some big thing that I had said, like some horrible thing I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
said. Um I think it was extremely tame. I simply like told you. Then people were like, "Well, how could you trust him?" And I was like, "He's not really giving me a reason not to." And I don't think that this information is like so classified that I like can't tell people about it. But yeah, it got me into a bit of trouble. Maybe I shouldn't have been telling people about personal sexual instances, but I also thought it was funny. Um, so I
Well,
shared that.
thank you. Okay, well, we agree on that. And in the way that you told me, I didn't receive it in a feeling that, I guess in my defense, but I'm not really trying to defend. Just to explain, it didn't seem like you were telling me a top secret, you know, and I didn't know, but we didn't. I didn't really have explicit permission to share, but I did ask. But then when you didn't reply in just like a couple hours, I just went and hit shared anyway,
Yeah.
which was a pretty hurried, but it was just like too. It was relevant to what was going on, and it was too damn funny. That was the thing. It was just really funny, and
I also
and
it's really I don't know why I think this is like a power play thing. And maybe this is maybe it's because I feel so embarrassed for having a relationship with him because it is sort
mm,
of embarrassing.
yeah,
That I really felt the need to distinguish like I didn't do anything to him. Which
mm,
is sort of hurtful, I guess. Like I can understand how he would be hurt by that. But I think
yeah,
it's important when people are like messaging me like you sucked off Steven or you let the gnome fuck you. I'm like, actually, no, I didn't. I sort of just was like, I let him eat my pussy and then I left. Which
well, all
is
right. We
funny.
don't. I
Which is
asked for.
funny.
I brought this. I brought the subject up, but we can just leave the details in the tweets that Ralph made. I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
funny though. It is funny. It's a funny thing because especially for us because we like to laugh at simps, all right, and we laugh at guys who are female fixated and they're just sex crazed and they're looking for their next sexual adventure or sexual experience. Uh, because while it's essentially sort of natural, meaning like it's kind of, it's a carnal, it's just like animalistic or instinctual to just desire that type of stuff. It's also a psychological thing where there's guys that are seeking to validate themselves through sexual conquest, or with men, it's sort of a power thing, just to be able to gain access to a thing that a woman uh, meters out based on her
Yeah,
appraisal of a man. And so being able to get it from a woman who will allow him to have it is it's a notch on the belt. It's a feather in the cap. It's a sexual conquest that,
totally. And I didn't want to let him have that on me, even
yeah,
though I gave it
yeah,
to him. But still, it was
yeah,
like I still felt like I should have. I don't know. It still felt like it made a difference to me to not be like another girl that like fuck Steven to get a fucking platform. Like that felt really shitty to me.
yeah.
So, but
And it's
so be
also
it.
for us, it's a hilarious own because it's kind of he got a little bit cucked out of something he was trying to get, because he was clearly trying to get the whole thing, because every guy's always trying to get the whole thing,
Sure.
and if he got the proverbial taste but not the whole thing. But and so
Oh,
as
jeez.
much as yeah, so but as much as it's funny and it's nice to get a funny laugh at his expense, in a friendly way, but
No.
it's yeah, it is, because he's been a real son of a bitch to us more than once, and it's nice to see it come back around, like, okay, now we got one on you, like, oh, you're embarrassed, lol. And because he's been very, grimy and slimy in his ways, he's been, we tolerate each other. There's been a certain level of amicability from our side to his and
That you
his side to
guys
ours
were
between him and Nick,
feuding.
me
I
and
did.
Destiny, or just us.
Because he said, yeah, he was like, he got mad. He was like, why did you tell this person who like hates me? I was like, how the fuck was I supposed to know you guys hated each other? I didn't know that you had beef with literally every single person online. Sorry.
Me personally or him? What do you mean?
Yeah, he said, no, yeah, well, no, him. I didn't know that he had
Yeah,
beef with
yeah, him.
everyone.
I don't have a personal beef with him. I mean, last time we talked, it was all good. His last message, he called me matey in the last message, which is kind of like weird. But he kind of burned the bridge. I guess actually the last time we spoke was after the Max deplatforming thing, which all got pinned on me because of a comment I made on a stream. I'll say it that way. Whether or not it was my fault, I don't know, but I was sort of like scapegoated as this like mass flagging campaign organizer, which isn't at all what happened. But like whatever. And but then Max ended up turning out to be 100 times worse than anything I did toward Max. Max has been attempting to do toward Steve in a way, in his way of seeing it. Maybe he might be able to say it
I think
that
that he
way.
thinks that Steven should be deplatformed.
You think that he thinks that?
No, I don't think that he wants Steven deplatformed at all.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, deplatformed is such a funny word, but yeah, I'm not saying that he should want that. What I'm saying is any animosity he has toward me would actually be like vicarious through what I was perceived to have done to Max. Like I haven't actually done anything to Destiny, so for him to have beef with me is kind of funny. Um,
Sure.
but
Do you think what Max is doing is bad?
uh, well, I love it. It's hilarious to me. That the funny part, but as far as like whether or not it's bad, actually, good question. I mean, assuming you just like want my general take on the situation, I'll answer it that way. But
Yeah.
I think that, well, here's the deal. The way he's doing it is odd. Um,
He's an entertainer.
yeah,
You
and
can
the
imagine
entertainment
he's not going to
aspect
do
is
it
fine.
as super graceful.
The angle, the framing that he's using is all centered around abuse, and there's a bigger conversation to be had on the meaning of abuse and the significance of abuse and what abuse actually even means. and really in my frame of understanding or looking at the situation, the concept of abuse itself is a very victim oriented female mindset, or another fuller way of saying it, it's a power strategy used by the underdog to gain power over the powerful. And
Okay.
in fact, the use of the word abuse is often done abusively. In fact, so really, like, the paradox here is that I would say, and not that I want to encourage him to stop or that I have a big problem or something, but looking from the outside, I'm witnessing it going, Max is being abusive. He's abusing the word abuse. Like, he's being abusive in his use of the word, meaning that he's using it in an over and beyond the intended purpose. He's taking liberties with it. He's in the way that people can abuse their privileges or abuse their power. He's abusing the language, and in fact, he's abusing. He's
I think you're
taking
using the word. I
advantage.
think you're abusing the word abuse now.
Maybe so, but hear me out though.
It's
It's
okay
a
when you
it's
do
a
it.
well, I'm not in using it. See, here's the thing: is that the effect that he's getting from it versus I'm uh, pondering on it, considering it, contemplating it out loud with you. But he's launching an inquisition and an accusation, and essentially like an attempt at character assassination on somebody through the use of the word abuse.
Why do you think he's doing it?
Um, um, Sort of a separate question. I'll be happy to answer it, but it's sort of like the why behind what, like, why is he doing this thing that might be just dishonest? Is a different question of whether or not it's dishonest. And I don't know if
We've
dishonesty is the
I
right
think we've
thing.
talked about this thing before, and I think that you struggle with double empathy. Which is like I think that you really want people to see the like your way of life, and you want them to just get it. And I think that that's sort of the what you fail to do in general, but I think that you're failing to do with Max right now, in which you're uh like you don't care why he's doing it, you just
Mm,
care about what he's doing. And I think that that's why a lot of people have trouble with the white nationalist movement, is
mm,
because they're not thinking like why you want these things, they're thinking about what you're doing and that it could be potentially harmful. They're not thinking about like that you care about family, or that you care about all these things, or that you really strongly hold these beliefs. Like Max
mm,
really strongly thinks that Stephen is abusing his power and abusing women. Like he really believes that. So he thinks that it's his duty to put that forward and to hold Stephen accountable for being a predator. I think, and he really believes in that. So I think that to say that he's to imply intent, saying that he's doing this as like a character assassination, I think he's doing something that he believes in the same way we all do.
well,
And
I
I
might
don't
come
think he's
up with
doing it for
valid reasons that to me are very like deeply felt. So you might ask me to I might ask you to empathize with my reasons, right? And then I would
sure.
tell you that why I deeply feel this. But do the feelings that I have justify my actions? Those are two separate issues. So I'm not saying that I
Sure.
refuse or am unable to empathize with what he wants and what he deeply feels or believes, but that doesn't necessarily justify certain tactics. And it also just doesn't absolve you from using tactics that are what they are. So if I say that you're doing a character assassination on somebody and your immediate response is, but do you know why he's doing it? It's like, well, that's a different question than whether or not he's doing it. It's like, well, if we swapped character assassination with actual assassination, I'm like, he's trying to assassinate this person. And you're
Well,
like, but do you know
what if
why he's
Stephen
trying
had
to
actually
assassinate?
raped someone? Like, what if
Uh
Stephen
huh.
had actually raped someone? Like, what do you
Mm
think then? Do you think it's justified in whether or not Max should do this, or anyone should do this?
hmm. A character assassination?
I don't think he's necessarily doing a character assassination. I think that actually Stephen's done that more to Max than Max has done that to Stephen. I think that
I think you may be
uh,
right. Yeah. So
I
so
think that
that's
Stephen has repeatedly called him like a rapist and like all these things, whereas like Max is like, I think he's a good person. I think he needs help, and I want to talk
hmm.
about why. So I think that that's sort of an interesting thing. But yeah, I don't know. if listen, I actually know nothing. Me and Max are obviously he's my dad, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's no he doesn't like talk to me about like this stuff because we don't. He doesn't. We both don't want like a double relationship in which he's like a journalist and also like my friend basically. So we don't talk about it. Just so we don't like brainwash each other into thinking that it's crazier than it is. But I think when he comes out with the article, maybe it'll make sense. Like he's talked to so many people that it seems like he's got something. Like I don't think he's psychotic. I think that even with my own personal relationship with Steven, I think he did a lot of things that were like pretty gross. And I think that people
Lev, is
should know
there?
about
I hate to interrupt. I should have waited 3 more seconds, but I interrupted you right before
it.
the
You're good.
end.
You're
My
good.
bad. My bad. You were almost done. But is there a baby in the other room that's crying
Oh
or
no,
like?
I'm God. My my fiance like left, and our dogs are like really upset about it. Hold on.
Oh yeah, okay.
Cool it.
Cool
I
it,
might just
dog.
have to yell at them. I might just have to yell at them periodically throughout
That's fine. I
this.
yell at my cat all the time, so we'll be in the same.
Okay.
He's gonna jump up here any minute. I'm gonna go, Steve. Right, not right now. Um.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. But yeah, it was just kind of like it was coming through.
Sorry. Nope. It's
So
gonna
your
be
dog's
bad
just
for a
sitting at the
second.
door going like, oh,
Dude,
is that
looking
what it
out the
is?
window. Yes.
Oh, where is he?
Yes.
Daddy.
So
Yeah, yeah.
annoying. So
All
annoying.
right. Okay, so maybe I should take a shot at it and then ask you to tell me how I could get it better. Because it is interesting. Like, so why is Max doing it? Um, I would differentiate myself from other people who might say he's doing it because he's bitter or something like that. I wouldn't impugn his motive like that and say he's bitter because of the chicken and waffles, or he's bitter because of the subreddit, which unfairness. People might make the case that there was a petty grievance that was personal, lingering, and then he found an avenue to get like revenge through bringing up some problem with, and he's sort of like doing he's attacking. He's actually able to present himself as a hero to somebody, and just he's only being a protector of these victims of Stephen. He's not attacking Stephen. He's just trying to protect these people, which is a noble pursuit. It's not a petty attack on Stephen. It's just a noble pursuit to protect these vulnerable girls. I've heard people say things like that. But if I were to put all of that type of thing aside myself, because that would really kind of be some like mind reading on my part to be able to put myself in his mind and suss out some covert motive. If I just take it at face value and go, okay, so what he's presenting that he cares about yourself and about Anna and these other characters. And he cares in general about the power that Destiny has, that Stephen has in his position as the ringleader. He's the king of the castle over there. And he holds court with all of these characters, these orbiters. And they're all invited to his table. And he's got all the clout. He's got all the followers. And clout is currency online. So he's just like throwing out clout coins to all of his orbiters who sit around the table with him, and they banter and they have fun, and he acts friendly, but it's also understood that there's going to be some sparring that takes place, but it's all in good fun, it's all in good faith, and it's all in good charity and everything. And but Max has come to know in his time there that there's actually an insidious undertone of deception going on, where the king is getting away with murder here and there, or he's getting away with essentially, or he's getting away with abuse. And
I don't know or think he's raped anyone. Just to be clear.
yeah. Okay, great. So I'm sure
Okay.
I'm being
I don't want to. I
figurative,
don't want
or
to. I don't want that to come
right.
out. So.
But we're talking about a crime crime, but we're talking about a sin or a
An
malicious or
unethical
an unethical, we
behavior.
call it unethical, yeah, an unethical behavior that has to do with deceitful manipulation, maybe like seduction, baiting into hazard of his friends, where he brings
Abuse
them
of his
in.
power. Yeah.
Yeah, with the promise of increased clout, or increased access to fans and fame and attention and money and all the things that come along with associating with him and orbiting his sphere. See, so they're welcome into the inner circle, but there's a price that's unacknowledged that's going on, and part of the price to admission turns out to, like, the Faustian bargain is that once you come in, especially if you're female, even if you're a male, in Max is making his case that it happened to him too. Destiny is going to use his power as a unfair leverage in relationship to get more of what he wants from the other than what they want from him, especially when it comes to just kind of like respect and regard for how the others are feeling. And so he comes up lacking with understanding and empathizing with, or being compassionate toward the others and how his actions affect them. And it's sort of like, you're welcome into the conversation, into the circle. I'm showering clout coins on you. You're eating from my table. We're all feasting together. But sometimes it's going to really suck for you because I'm going to do something here and there. And when you tell me that it really sucked for you, tough titties. You just got to deal with it. You're just going to have to eat some shit once in a while you're here.
Yeah, essentially that's what he told me, and that could be fine. Especially when it's like when your relationship is like only on stream, right? But the problem is that the relationship is on stream, and then there's another relationship, there's a double relationship happening in which like he's having sex with these women, or he's like using like Max as his therapist, his like relationship therapist. Like there's some like there's this buy that you're closer than you really are. And I think that Stephen might use it to I don't even know if he's doing it on purpose. I think that he really does desire closeness. I think that he struggles interpersonally. Like I think that he does desire closeness, but I don't think that he knows how to have. He's been streaming for so long also. I mean, you see his relationship with his wife. It's nonsensical to me. I could never have a relationship like that. So it's just I don't think even necessarily like malicious, or that he's doing these things maliciously. I just think that it is wrong, and we should probably talk about it, because we just should. I don't know, like especially with I don't know if you saw like most of the dog pile that happened on me, but it got pretty gnarly for a second.
Mm.
Or like doxing me and my partner, and uh that was pretty gnarly. Over something that was like so seemingly silly. And part of that is made more insidious because as soon as as long as I was sending like Steven pictures of my feet and letting him like touch me, I was treated really well. And then I stopped doing that and I was treated really poorly. uh
Mm.
which is, it feels sort of like that feels wrong. um
Mm.
and if I think the mind frame
I
in
want to
in which.
ask you there. I want to wrap you. I want to know, why is it wrong in your perspective,
I guess
in your judgment?
because in yeah, I guess in my worldview, you should treat people with respect, and that doesn't feel very respectful to me. That doesn't feel very human to me. That doesn't feel like he's honoring my soul's journey on this earth. Uh, and yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it. And then allowing a community to go after me, and making content off of like my basically mental breakdown, uh, is, I think, really bad for society. Like I just think that that's like a horrible thing to normalize,
Mm.
because I think that we should all be a little more human to each other. So I think that there's a lot
What do you
going
mean by
wrong.
be human? I've heard you say that a bit, and sometimes you say like, "Okay, now I'm no longer human," or "My humanity is gone," or treats me like I'm inhuman, and he's being inhuman toward me. What do you mean by that?
I mean, you can think that this is cringe. We've talked about this before. I think empathy is really big for me. I think that
Mm.
I'm like a big I've been talking about Nietzsche so much today for some reason, but
Epic.
because I'm not like religious and I don't want to fall into nihilism. I don't know if you've read like a lot of Nietzsche, but he mostly talks about like personal power and how like you don't necessarily even have to like agree with people, but you have to like at least what I take from it is that I have to empathize with someone's journey. Like we don't agree on a lot of things, but I think that the world is a better place when we're not like yelling at each other and making each other like inhuman. Like we just want to coexist. We only have, at least in my view, in my secular view,
Wait,
it's
you did it
like
again. When we're making each other inhuman, and so inhuman means empathy.
yeah,
So it
empathy
means caring
and
about
treating
how
each
each
other
other
with
feels.
respect. Yeah, how each other feels, but also like making the world like a livable
Renry sent
place.
$5. The saddest part of all of this is that men are desperate enough to have sex with this ugly freak whose face scares little children.
Damn. Oh yeah. If you want to send in like really mean super chats to Lav, it's powerchat.live/BigTech. I set a goal at $200. If we hit 200, we're gonna make Lav sing us a song. So hit that goal, everybody. Let's get going. $200. If we get going now, if everybody starts contributing right up front, send in something really mean, hurt Lav's feelings. She told me she doesn't mind coming here and we could throw rotten tomatoes at her, boo, and say mean stuff to her, and she'll stay. She won't leave. So fire away. Powerchat.live/BigTech. Thanks for being such a sport, by the way, Lav. That was really nice of you to agree to that. Very cool. Brave.
I think I'm watching your screen right now, and your lighting is doing me no favors. Like the
What do you mean,
lighting
like in
that
the
you
way
have.
you look?
Yes, like I don't know if it's like the exposure or whatever, but it makes me look like Woody Allen, which I think is anti-Semitic. And this is actually a hate crime. You're actually hate criming me right now.
I didn't do that on purpose or anything.
I feel like I don't look as bad in my personal camera that I do like on your stream camera, but
what can I do
I'm
here?
trying to
I got
let
a
it
couple
go. I'm
filters
trying
I
to
can
let go
mess
of
with.
my appearance and my ego and just be a spiritual being on this earth.
There we go.
So.
Epic. Yeah, that's good. Good. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. I actually might have some filters on that were helping me be able to see some text earlier that I was showing. What if I do? Oh, that's truer to form. There we go. It was darkened up. What do you think now? It's a little better.
Still Jewish, still Woody Allen, but if this is as good as it's gonna get.
Oh, now I look the same, just brighter. I mean, I just took the filters off that I have.
Yeah. Let's see if I can make myself look better. It's not going to happen. But what were we talking about?
I'm pretty sure the Groypers know what you look like at this point, especially the curious ones.
Yeah, probably.
But where were we? Oh yeah, so empathy is such an interesting thing. Now it's kind of I've noticed it's transforming into humanity because it's getting overused, but it's like we have to treat each other as human. We have to humanize. We can't dehumanize. And when I ask, well, what is that? And we say, okay, well, you need to empathize and have respect for. And then it's kind of like, well, what is that? And I know what it means, but it's sort of like
I can tell you why it's important.
It's sort of like the linchpin of the left in my perspective, or in that sphere, but really is the left, or especially like the omni left. I don't know what that is over there, but there's a lot of conversations. And in fact, the first time I ever really learned about empathy.
Corlick sent $5. Lav. Would you agree that the world elite could just self-identify as Jewish in order to be protected from scrutiny?
Ooh, good question.
Renry sent $5.
Happens?
Yeah, it's not the lighting. That forehead is the problem.
True.
The question was, could the world elite just identify as Jewish and then protect themselves from scrutiny by claiming anti-Semitism if they're criticized?
I think that the Jews are criticized a lot from like both sides constantly.
Yeah, sure, but they have a protection, right? They get to be like, oh, you can't say that. That's anti-Semitic. You're silenced. Well, like Bill Gates doesn't get to go, you can't criticize me because that's anti-Bill Gatesism.
Well, if you say something anti-Semitic, people are going to call it anti-Semitic, I think. If you say something racist, people are going to call it racist.
Okay.
So
But the thing is, if we talk about all these conspiring globalists, or if we talk about all these conspiring corporatists, or if we talk about these conspiring techno elites, nobody like that's totally allowed. But if you say these conspiring Zionists or these conspiring Jewish ethno
it's anti-Semitic
nationalists,
because it's
now it's
wrong.
anti-Semitic.
Well, because it's anti-Semitic because it's wrong.
anti-Semitic
Based
means
Gosling
wrong?
sent $5. You
No.
need to
It
adjust the
means
contrast to premium.
that you are spreading a falsehood about a class of people in order to like fearmonger, which is wrong.
But what if? Who decides that it's wrong?
Who decides that it's right?
Yeah, exactly. So how do you get to say, oh, but if it's wrong, then it's hate, and the only reason why you would do it is to fearmonger? But like, no, we're over here going like, no, it's not wrong though, and you're
That's
going,
why
yes,
the why
it
is so
and
important.
that's why.
I think that's why the why is so important.
But how do you know our why?
I'm on here asking about it. I don't think that most people
But when we
will.
tell you it's not about fearmongering, but then you go, yes, it is, and that's why it's anti-Semitism.
Well, I think that a lot of people do fearmonger. I don't know if I've seen you necessarily do that a ton. I think that you'd have to show me like these things. I think you'd have to show me your collection of information as to why you think this. I just don't like. I just don't.
But
I just personally
it's
don't
still
think
the
it's
same
real.
question. It's still the same question as if I were to say that there's a bunch, like if I was Alex Jones and I go, there's a bunch of Chi-Com globalist elites that are transhumanists and they want to make a breakaway civilization and they're releasing the viruses and adrenochrome and they're sucking babies' blood and they're doing demonic seances and as long as he doesn't say anything about Jews, it's like that's totally fine. And he can say that they're conspiring and he can fearmonger about that all day long. And he can name names, the Bilderberg Group and the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, and Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab. And they're all together at the World Economic Forum and they go back behind and they pedophiles on Epstein's Island. But as soon as he mentions Epstein's relationship to the Mossad and Ghislaine Maxwell, it's like, whoa, cool it with the anti-Semitism. It's like, but he can name all those people and
I think
name
that
that
evil
they are
people
conspiring.
exist. I think that evil people can exist within like any group of people, and I think when you chalk it up to like Jews, you're giving like a very broad face to a very small enemy. Most Jews are not global elites. They're just not.
Sure. But nobody's talking about most Jews.
Sure, but when you say Jews, especially because Jews are the most hate crimes out of any religious group in the US are propagated against Jews. So when you say, especially when your
Which is
chat,
a report that
you
came
say
out
what you
from a
may,
bunch of Jews.
say what you
back
may,
then.
shut the fuck up, dude. say what you may. Say what you may, but you can be like, yeah, I don't want to hate people or whatever, and then your chat is like rape the Jewess. So it's a little hard to trust.
But they say that to everybody.
What you're doing with all of this.
I had a redheaded, blue-eyed, like straight up
Sure.
Scottish-looking girl on here
Sure,
last
and
night.
it could be
like
just
my
funny.
chat was just full of just. It was just like it's indiscriminate memes around here. Okay,
I'm sure. I am sure that is true. But yeah, so
we were laughing.
but I think my problem is like most Jews like are strong advocates like against the whole like rabbi like licking the blood off of like the circumcision wound. Like most Jews are trying to outlaw that. So when you make it like a Jewish problem, we're like we've been trying to stop this forever. Like we've made it illegal in a lot of places. So it's like it just feels a little odd that that it becomes like the Jews or like Zionists, because I also think that some Zionists are pretty based actually. And I think that you probably would too, because you agree in an ethno state, I would probably imagine. So I think that I think I've never understood that from the Groypers. Like if you think that an ethno state is so like base, why wouldn't you want an Israel to exist? Or if you value IQ so much, why wouldn't you want people who naturally have the highest IQ to be the ruling class? I don't really get it.
Wow, yeah, I understand what you mean. So like if the Groypers and like me and all of us over here, if we were so smart that we came up with this cunning strategy to totally like infiltrate the Mexican government and pull strings and subvert their power structure so thoroughly that we were actually able to use their military to invade another territory and build a wall and drive out the people from there and give us a Groiper land that we could all exist in and control and actually have sort of like a unrestricted access to like total sovereignty in some place in Guatemala. And we did that using the Mexican government to fight and die and pay for that whole thing. And then we could even also still use the Mexican government to fund all sorts of operations all over the world. And we propagandized all of Mexico to ignore us and like never talk about us. And if we did that whole thing on the Mexicans, that would be pretty based. But if they didn't like that, if there was a faction of Mexicans and they're like, get these fucking Groipers out of here. We don't have anything to do with them. Why are we fighting for their land over there in Guatemala? These Groipers, we don't like these Groipers. Get them out of Mexico. I wouldn't be like, how dare you?
I'm using your worldview when I talk about stuff like that. So I think all of this is fucked up. I believe in like a biodiverse like state. Like I believe in a one state solution in Israel and Palestine. I believe that we should all fucking race mix and do whatever the fuck and just learn about each other. And I'm a fucking hippie satanic Jew. Like that's my worldview, right?
As long as we all just empathize with each other, it'll work
I think
out.
as long as we try to live with each other and appreciate each other for our differences and yeah, I just have a different, more peaceful pacifist worldview than you do, I think. But if in your worldview you want to do something like that, like I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I don't think that you are going to. I think that there are so few of you that is just not going to happen. So I
What, that
I
we're
have
going
a
to
hard time
subvert
like worrying
Mexico
about
and
it.
like make them our puppet vassal state the way Jews have subverted America and like controlled us from the inside? You're right. It's probably not going to happen. Not immediately, but in fact, but like the Mexicans who might rise up and drive the Groipers out in that scenario, it might be that we are able to rise up and drive the Jewish control agents out of our institutions, out of our media organizations, out of our government, out of our schools, out of Hollywood, out of the positions of power and authority that they use to manipulate things according to agenda that they have, which is different than ours.
Who's they?
That's all we want. Ask Tim Pool.
Who's they?
They?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
the
it
Jewish
the
controllers.
is it the Okay, but why
It's
does
not
it matter
everything.
if they're
It's not
Jewish?
every. Because they are different than us, and they have a different want, and they see the world differently. They identify differently than we do.
There are white
and they
people
act
who
differently than we do.
identify and act differently than you do. There are purebred white Irish people, like my fiance, who completely disagrees, lives completely differently than you do.
Is he
Completely.
conspiring with a bunch of other Irish people to pull off something on the scale that the Jews are?
Well, no, but the
Well, if
Jews
he was, that would be an
conspiring.
issue.
So you do believe in the cabal? Because conspiring, like
Wait a minute.
This is what I think.
We're going to go back to Mr. Gold in a minute, but let me ask you a question.
There's a group of global elites that may or may not be Jewish. Some of them are probably fucking Irish. Some of them are Orthodox Catholic. Some of them are Jewish, who are just bad people. And it's not attached to whether or not they are Jewish. They are just bad people. So when you say Jewish people, it's just it's fear mongering for the sake of creating, of paper macheing an enemy, a clear enemy, when the enemy is not that clear.
So you're a conspiracy denier.
I dabble. I think I dabble in conspiracy if there's enough evidence.
Are you denying the existence of Jews conspiring? The reality.
Well, here's the thing. Again, I think that Jewish people can conspire the same way that Irish people can. I mean, you talk about
But
people who
are
run
they
banks.
conspiring
There
the
are
same-
people who are white who
I didn't
who
ask
run
if they
banks.
can. But are they conspiring?
Yes.
Are they conspiring in a way that's harmful to the U.S.?
Well, harmful is pretty subjective. I think
So?
that the Groipers, I think that all the white people on fucking Cozy TV are conspiring, and I think that's pretty evil. So now I'm
Yeah.
going to say the whites. The white cabal. You are part
Yeah.
of the white
Nobody
cabal.
has a problem saying that, but I don't have a word like anti-Semitism to use against you when you say it.
Well, you should make one. Anti-white.
Or maybe that's just stupid and we're over giving power to that.
Anti-Aryan.
Well, we say anti-white all the time. That's a
But no one
new
cares.
vernacular yeah, exactly. It's caught on recently, and it helps us to be able to identify the enemy, but really just so that we can segregate friend from foe and like see more clearly with contrast on the battlefield of ideas, if you want to say it that way. But when people are using anti-white rhetoric, we can go, oh, okay, this person is not with us. This person is a faker. This person's fraud. This person's a grifter, whatever. But really, it's not. We're not going to shut anybody down because we don't have a Holocaust. We don't get to go, that's anti-white, and if you do that, there's going to be a Holocaust against whites. We don't, but the Jews get to go, that's anti-Semitic, and if you do anti-Semitism, there's going to be a Holocaust, so you have to stop that right now. Go to the museum. And we don't have that.
Well, I think that's because there's so many of you that people like don't think it's gonna happen. Like especially when most white people are in positions of power, like government. Like there are barely any Jews in the government. Like it's just no one's ever going to genocide against white people because white people have like ruled for so long. The
Right.
problem, like the reason why Jews are a protected class is because they're a minority. And people fight for the underdog, right? And I think that if you agree that the Holocaust happened, which I'm not sure that you do, you would probably say that the idea of putting a bunch of people and starving them, putting them in like camps and gas chambers or whatever is wrong to do, right? So if people are functioning under the idea that that is something that happened, they're probably like, yeah, we should avoid this. Like, we don't want to treat human beings like this. Especially if they're a minority and can't stand up for themselves, right? Whereas like white people can stand up for themselves because they've been in power for as long as civilization has existed, pretty much.
Have you been to the Holocaust Museum there in LA?
I have a couple times. It's been my first date for two men.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's nothing like car sex after the Holocaust Museum.
Nothing hotter than that. Yikes.
Nothing like crying. Nothing like
you have
crying,
sex in the car with your first date
joke.
after going to the Holocaust
Of course not. Of course not. That was a
No,
joke.
you do. That was real.
No.
That's funny.
I don't fuck on the first date. But
okay,
I will let him meet me out.
But you know what? You know what what the museum there in LA is called, right? The Museum of Tolerance.
Yes.
And I don't know if you ever thought about it, but like it's so perfectly appropriate because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what is being asked of us by the Jews. The Jews. I know we're not supposed to put the in front of it. By the Jewish people, by the Holocaust promoters.
Renry sent $5.
Not
Whites
even-
genocided in Russia. Whites genocided in Ukraine. Whites genocided in Germany. You're a lying bitch.
Yeah, I mean, it is different, but not everybody knows their history very well. But the history of the Holocaust is the one that everybody knows. I mean, we all get to see like emaciated bodies being. We get to see them all. We get to see bodies, starved bodies, being pushed into a ditch when we're 7 years old. We all get traumatized by the Holocaust when we're little kids, and we get to see the evil man with the mustache speaking the scary language, and we all get told.
Well, I think part of why it's so poignant. Part of why it's so poignant, part of why that's at the forefront when we talk about genocides is because it was the first time we could have pictures of something like this, right? Like it was the first time in recent history in which like we were a generation or two removed from the Holocaust, and also it's like we have pictures, which like you talk about genocides that happened in the fucking 1800s or like before that. And we don't have any proof. We're so far removed from it. It's hard to humanize the people that were affected by it or to have empathy for them because we're not seeing it. But there are so many. I mean, you look at a picture of people emaciated
Inquisition
in
Bro sent $3. This whore is invited onto a show as a guest, and she's not even wearing pants. Holy shit! Maybe we can have her put on some pants if we get to $200.
Yeah,
that would be the first
to make
time
Lav
in a
put on
while
some
that
pants.
the whore's worn something below that waist.
and $400 to take them off. No, I am wearing shorts. I am wearing shorts. But yeah, so I think that part of why it's such a big deal is because for the first time we have pictures of people like emaciated bodies and like camps, and we're like, oh fuck, like that we're not looking at like dogs in like it's not like a Sarah McLachlan in the arms of the angel SPCA commercial. These are human beings, and that could be me. Which I think is like really, especially me, especially me.
Your Anne Frank looking ass going in the ditch.
No,
especially the rest of it too. The World War II footage is incredible. The dive bombing planes in the Pacific and Hitler
Renry
with the swastikas and the golden
pictures of the Russian gulags, you dumb whore.
It's epic. But yeah, we do have pictures of the Russian gulags. There is a lot, but the Russians didn't take over Hollywood and all of the news agencies and promote.
Over. Well, we had to. I mean, Jews had to flee to other places or else get killed. So, if you had to flee because of that, and you wanted to make sure that one, you had capital, you had social capital, and also economic capital in the place where you existed now, even as a white person, you would do that. If there was an American genocide in which white people were killed.
Oh yeah, you'd propagandize it in the place that you go to stay so that it doesn't happen again.
No. And you had to flee to another country seeking asylum. You would want to make sure that the kids that you brought into the world after that, one would remember that happened and protect themselves. Two, that you had started your own business in the land of opportunity.
Based Gosling sent $3. How did Hitler like his juice? Concentrated.
But you would make sure that you went to this new place, created capital, made money to provide for your family, made sure that your children had a fighting chance in this new place. Like that is the logical conclusion to set yourself up and your family for success. You would do the same thing.
Yeah, just like did the blacks do that same thing?
I think that they're trying to now.
But to what degree of success?
Well, it's hard to say because I think that there's like a lot of cultural issues in like Black America. I think that they're
not as good at conspiring.
Well, no, I think that things are a little different.
Well, actually, I mean that in not a sarcastic way.
Renry sent $5. Russian Christians had to hide their faith so that they wouldn't be put in a death camp. BigTech pushback better, brother.
No, this isn't about.
Okay, we're playing the fucking victim Olympics.
Yeah, relax, boys. Relax. Oh no, we suffered more, and like I'm not even Russian. But the point is like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not trying to win here. We're just talking. Point being, like, but there's a lot of people that want me to like, no,
of course,
be right and shut her down.
The nature of the internet.
Bitch. Yeah, and I understand it. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel that way, guys, but we chilling. I mean, that's what you got. Hey, powerchat.live/BigTech. Tell her what you think. Don't let me drown, boys. Help me. Send in the facts that I need. It's $5. So anyway, but I mean, in reality, it is like a corporation is a conspiracy in the most specific sense of the word. Like a church is a conspiracy. Like a team in a sport, they do conspire. Like they come to the huddle and they talk together. It just literally means to breathe or whisper together, to move together in unison. That's what.
Sure. Or how do you think all these Jews are talking to each other though? Like how do you think all these Jews are conspiring? Like I don't know any of these rich Jews that you talk about. Like I grew up in LA. I don't know any.
Anonymous
of these
sent $3. I wouldn't do what Jews did cause my people don't get kicked out of their own countries. They actually work the land.
That's another point, but Jews don't have their own land, so I mean that it's actually against their religion to have land. So I've heard from a rabbi, but the way that it works is, well, I mean, just because you're not going to synagogue, all right, and being invited into the conversations, just because you're not part of Chabad Lubavitch,
do you think those conversations are happening in synagogues?
Yeah. You think they're not?
Have you ever been to a synagogue?
Have you?
Yes.
Yeah, and are you a man?
No.
What do you know then? So, do you know what kind of conversations take place in the men's locker room?
Yes,
How do you know?
because I have those conversations with men. I'm
No,
a
but
I'm a
no, no, no. You're
I'm
making
man
an assumption
passing.
there. Yeah, okay. No, no. You know
No,
what
of
I'm
course I don't.
saying.
Of course I don't
Yeah,
exactly know,
exactly,
but
exactly. So do you know
but
what kind of
I know Jewish
conversations take place at
values.
Mar-a-Lago? Do you know I
Well,
mean,
okay,
you know Jewish
with that
values.
logic, I could say that you and Nick are conspiring to fucking bomb the White House, like because I don't know what you're really saying.
Johnny
Like
sent
it's you
$3
can
any
just
dude who
say
would go on a date
things.
to the Holocaust Museum as a... She dates f***s.
I do.
No. So no, no, no. What you're saying is the absurd thing, not me. And what you're saying is that
No,
there isn't. Hold
you
on.
are making this like completely like irrational like logical conclusion. Like I could
Of what?
literally
What's my
say
conclusion? If you could
I
slow
could
down
go
from
on
laughing so much and actually say what you
Based
think,
Gosling
it
sent
okay.
would
$3.
actually be
Jesus
I could
fed
sufficient.
go on
2,000
I
people
could
with
go
2
on
fish and
Twitch right
5
now.
loaves of bread. Hitler made 6 million Jews toast.
Wow,
Jesus
the
Christ.
jokes. Wow, the puns. Wow, wow, wow.
I could go on right now to Twitch and be like, I know that Nick Fuentes and BigTech are planning something big.
Well,
Anonymous
we
sent
are.
$5.
But go
Mao
ahead.
and Stalin killed 100 times more civilians than Hitler's Germany. Jews were
True.
considered domestic enemies for their support of the communist revolution.
True.
Jews have an allegiance to themselves first, then Israel second. So please fuck off to Israel THX.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
Um
the thing. Well, hold on. Before you do this thing, because you could make this case, but I think it would be off on the wrong foot if I let you go too far, because you said I could say anything that you're conspiring about anything, but we're not just saying anything. We have specifics and we have a very good idea. The hard part about a conspiracy, the type that we're talking about, is that a secret conspiracy, is that it's intended to remain as a secret. But just like
so
any
there's proof.
investigator, just like any detective, just like Columbo, if you've ever seen an investigative show, the idea is to follow a trail of crumbs. You follow the evidence where it leads. You look for K Bono. You ask, who does this benefit? You ask questions like that, and you piece together clues and to create a theory about the conspiracy. You know there's a conspiracy taking place due to the outcomes that are taking place that are more than, like Dave Chappelle said, if it's blacks, it's a gang. If Italians, it's a mob. If it's Jews, it's a coincidence. But calling it a coincidence and insisting that it's all coincidence,
pretty
that's
funny.
what you're doing. What you're doing is insisting that it's just coincidence. All of this stuff that you guys are seeing, it's just coincidence, and you're all insane. It's a straight up gaslight. You're crazy for thinking this thing that's obviously not a coincidence. It's all a coincidence. And if you think otherwise, you're just hate mongering. That's how it seems to us. You're just a straight up
Well,
gaslight calling us
I
crazy
do think
hate
it is a
mongers.
coincidence.
Well, I mean, so then you're a conspiracy denier.
Yeah, I do think it is a coincidence, but I think it's funny to make this parallel, but you doing that and like you're like, I just want to bring to light what's going on behind closed doors is like exactly what Max is doing, and I don't think that you realize that it's like the same thing.
Uh, I don't know if there's anything you could do about the fact that you are laughing while you're talking, but it comes
Sorry.
across in a type of way.
Sorry.
I don't know if you do that with just me. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. Maybe
No,
that's
I
just your
have
style.
a habit. I'm sorry. I know it makes me sound smug. I'm sorry.
Right. That's the word I was
Yeah.
hesitating to say. But I know we want to maintain a reciprocity of respect here.
Corlick
Yes,
sent
I'm sorry.
$5. Shouldn't libs be celebrating white people for creating the most progressive multicultural society on the planet? White people get zero credit because Hitler and the Holocaust. The Holocaust is everything.
That was actually a good question, but it's not the right time for us to go into it. But I would actually halt you there with the thing that you were saying through your smiling teeth, that I don't realize that I'm doing the same thing Max is doing, when actually I think maybe you don't realize that I absolutely do realize that. And in fact, since the beginning, I've been fascinated with what Max is doing. And I've said it here. People have heard me say it. I don't know how many times. We might be at 100 at this point. But every time that Mr. Girl Max comes up in a conversation, my insight that I'm offering to everybody is to help them see what I see, which is the political horseshoe theory in action. And it's not just political, but there is a horseshoe aspect to what Max is doing and what I personally am doing and what we're doing over here, which I find to be fascinating. That's why I am so keenly focused on his activity. While he's the polar opposite from me in the way that he views the world, he's reaching very, very similar conclusions to me and to us. Just he's going the opposite direction. So he's going around the back end of the horseshoe, and he's ending up. We're both reaching the same level of eye to eye. We have an eye to eye perspective, but from across the horseshoe. Like he's on the left, I'm on the right, or whatever. He's the Jewish, I'm the Western, or whatever. The Semitic versus the Western perspective. The Semitic versus Christian, I should say. But
He's
Israel
fairly
did
Jewish
9/11
also.
and the USS Liberty sent $3. Jewish women are built for BBC. We must export our blacks to Israel for some good old-fashioned and diversity. We can start with this dumb bitch.
okay, thoughts. Okay. But yeah, as far as him being barely Jewish, but the point is being that his spiritual nature, the way that he behaves, his character, his presentation as a
Is
personality is the epitome of, essentially, in my perspective. So he's Semitic presenting. So regardless of his genetics or religion, he's acting as a Jew. He literally calls himself Mr. Girl. And the trope for us is that the Semitic strategy is the female strategy. And they are the wandering tribe without a home. They don't have a kingdom. They aren't a masculine culture that just sets up a big strong tower and then defends it. They work through manipulation and subtle subversion and seduction and coercion and temptation and all of these feminine attributes of yielding, drawing in, and then giving you what you want through guilt and through undermining and through running a thing like he's doing back to the Destiny situation. The underdog strategy, the female strategy, is to raise the flag of abuse. And the reason why it's a power play as a female or as a feminine, as the underdog, as the yielding receptive, the lesser force. When you don't have the strength to overcome, what you can do is you can appeal to the conscience and the goodness in the other person as a weapon against them. And this is essentially what it becomes, where you accuse them of a moral crime, and then it's when they agree with you that this is a moral violation. Once you can get them to agree that you've been immoral, you've violated your own personal ethical code, which is really an appeal to your morality. So the strength and goodness within the other person, you use that against them. Once you can get them to agree that they have done a violation that has cost you, it's done you harm. Once you can get them to agree to that by whatever means necessary, you can get into their mind. This is what the nature of gaslighting is, or whatever, all sorts of other types of guilt trips. If you can get them to agree, if the woman can say, but you did me wrong when you XYZ, and the man goes, dang, I wish I didn't do that. You're right. I abused my power. So you were abusive. You abused your strength. You abused your position of authority over me. You abused your access to this and that I don't have. You went too far, and you were greedy, or you were insensitive. You were uncaring. You were all these things that are impugn, that you impugn their moral character. You attempt to not necessarily assassinate, but you attack the pillar of their morality, which is a part of their strength. They consider themselves inwardly to be strong as well, and you say, no, you were weak. And once they seek to repair that. So you appeal to their good nature. If you can get them to agree with your judgment of them, now you can then pass a judgment that has a compensation attached to it. Since you did that, now you owe me this. Now you must surrender to me. Now you are judged guilty, and the punishment will be, or the recompense will be, or the restitution will be, and then it puts the underdog, the weak person, in a position of power and authority over the strong person through judgment. This is the crystallization of the underdog strategy, or the woman strategy. And this is why a woman will nag her man. This is why a woman will bring up past grievances over and over. If a certain type of woman, not every
boy,
woman,
do I.
not all, no. But you know what I mean? Once she's feeling a certain kind of way and she's mad, here comes Steve. By the way, you wanted to meet Steve.
Yes.
This is my boy.
Oh, that is a tiny baby.
Yeah, he's a little tiger. Literally.
Oh.
I don't know if I turn on a better light, you can see his face better. But yeah, he's a little monkey. And he wants to come and suckle on me, bro. I know you just woke up. and you're half awake, snap out of it, bro. No suckle. No suckle, Steve. No suckle, Steve. I'll pet you, though. But Dad, I just want to get cuddly and suckle on you.
Oh.
All right, so, all right. I'm
But
speaking
I
quickly and
completely-
forcefully. I wanted to get all that out with an interruption, and thank you for letting me do it. But what do you think about it?
I completely understand what you're saying. The problem, I think, is that I obviously do not see a problem with that, because to me, I think that that's like forcing someone to self-introspect. Because I think
Right.
that self-introspection is like really important into
Right.
Maintaining a level of empathy for each other, right?
But the problem becomes because
Lead
there's
for
a
your
problem
head
with
sent
it, I wanna point out.
$5. She's cute, but that's irrelevant. It's the J Mafia,
At least this
aka
one thinks I'm
communists, Bolsheviks. The regular ones are victims of the same spell as all the other American normies. But everyone gets distracted by the arguments of the communists.
Oh, here's another one.
Hot dogs for sale
dogs for
sent
sale.
$5. Speaking of morality and harm, Lavlune, what books did the Nazi youth burn? Do you know?
What books did the Nazi youth burn?
Yeah, in those famous pictures like we're talking about, where the Nazi youth are standing around in their uniforms and they're burning books in the square there at in Weimar. Do you know what those books were that they were burning? It's a little off
What
topic.
were they?
But, the collected works from all over town and around of a doctor who was promoting transgender hormone therapy and surgery. And they didn't want
Interesting.
it. Yeah. A Jewish doctor, by the way. But yeah, I'm not going to say what
They
people
always
they were
are.
from. It was the Jews.
They always are.
Yeah.
They always are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, and maybe that's my feminine perspective, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
so
think
the
I
thing
don't
is,
I don't know what the alternative is. I want to live, and I don't know, and maybe this is because you're religious and I'm not. Like, I think that this is like the one world that we have. Like, we have one life, and we just have to
Mhm.
sort of like make the best of it, live with
Right.
each other and together and help each other, and that's what I believe. But I don't think that you necessarily believe that. I think that you have different values. And so how do we coexist in a place where we have such different values? Like, how do we do it?
you become a Christian.
Yeah, I have to change.
Yeah,
know what?
stop being
I've
a
been,
rebellious, selfish demon. That's like literally all we're asking.
I've been listening to some Catholic talks lately.
Let's go.
And I think it's been kind of interesting to me, actually. I think that I know that Cozy TV and like Andrew and Rachel Wilson are like at odds with each other.
Mhm.
But I really respect Rachel Wilson. I read her book. I thought that there was some truth in it, though I didn't agree with all of it. And I really respect her. She's been so kind to me and her worldview.
Nice.
And it got me thinking a little bit, because she said that she gave me like a prayer when I was going through the really hard time to like do. And I thought that was so sweet. And then I sort of was looking at Catholicism on my own, or like just orthodoxy, like Christian Catholic orthodoxy. And I was interested. Who knows? I might have a religious arc. Who knows?
Have an arc.
Yeah, I might have a religious arc. I could
Turn
get
over a
my
leaf.
Satanist tattoo removed and be a
Hot
Christian
dogs
this
for
time
sale
next year.
sent $5. We have one life. No. Incorrect. YOLO and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Christ is king.
I mean, that's a fair little nuance there. I mean, it was sort of a flippant offering there that we only have one life, so we should be nice to each other. It's like first of all, that's an assumption that could be and should be actually challenged, if whether or not we have just one life.
Yeah.
Most people forever believed that it was not that, and including us. But the other thing is, just because we have one life, that doesn't mean we should be good to each other either. There's like no implicit thing in nature that says we got to be nice. Or you said that strategy is a way of forcing. You literally, I think you said, forcing someone to introspect. It's like, well, but what right do you have to force somebody to introspect? Like, who the fuck are you? Essentially, is what I mean. Like, you
I
don't
mean,
have that right
true.
to force
White borders are
force
racist. Not
him to do
Israel
that.
or China sent $3. Since you guys put Israel first, then you should be deported to Israel. If we want as
You
a nation
guys,
to
Come
outlaw
on.
dual citizenship and loyalty to another country other than the USA, what is wrong with that? How come only Israel is allowed to be an ethno-state?
Yeah.
Stephen Bonnell's son sent $3. We should just do the
Steven's
best
son.
we can in the world with a Baphomet tattoo on our chests.
Yeah, well, Baphomet means
True.
something very different to me than it means to you guys, I think. So that's one thing. And then yeah, the other thing, what was the first comment? I'm running on little juice right now.
Yeah, it's okay. He said, since you guys put Israel
Oh,
first,
you guys.
then you should
You
be
guys.
deported to Israel. Yeah, you guys. You,
Yeah, let me
Lavlune,
make
and
it
all your
very
friends.
clear. Let me make it very clear. I am 13% Jewish.
Okay, so you
I
don't
am
believe that Israel has the right to exist?
I am not I think that Jews
You're
should stop
anti-Zionist.
I think that Jews should stop being killed. And if they feel like they need to take measures into their own hands and be a self-sovereign state so that they don't get killed, that's what they're gonna do. And I don't really have an opinion. I'm pretty neutral about it. I think you got to do what you have to do to survive. And I know why people are Zionists. I don't think I
Yeah.
agree with an ethno state, though. But I also live in like a pipe dream where I'm like, everyone can get along. So I don't know.
So, a pipe dream where everyone can get along. What if that's the case? What if you're just in a pipe dream where everyone can get along and this whole empathy idea is straight up BS?
Then I will at least have died
Annoying
being
everybody.
kind to everyone who I disagreed with and annoying everyone. Yeah.
And once in a while having a breakdown where I just flame out because I couldn't handle the reality of the situation, which is that it doesn't actually work that way and I'm kicking against the current of life.
What
if it's like that?
Anyone knows. I just don't think anyone knows.
Mm.
And I believe in personal power. I mean, it's why when I talk to you, I take these things in, right? Like when you're talking to me
Yeah.
about like the Jewish
I believe you do,
cabal,
actually.
I'm not like, no, fuck you. I'm like, you're a truth seeker. I'm a truth seeker. And I don't think that either of us have the truth, right? So I'm taking in what you're saying. I'm trying to internalize it. And I search for proof and I do these things because I want personal power. I'm a Nietzsche simp. Like I want my personal power. I want to rack my brain. I want to get to know myself and get to know other people. And I really believe in treating people equally. I think that I'm Christ-like in that way.
Let's go. I actually believe that, and a lot of others don't, and they'll criticize me for saying this, but I actually believe that about you. I believe you're actually, I think you're actually trying. I don't think you're just straight up bullshitting me on that. And a lot of these people think that in the chat, and they'll be like, "You idiot, she's just playing you," or they'll call me a simp or something. But that's just the impression that I actually get from you, is that you're being like sincere about that.
Yeah, I try to be sincere in all things.
Yeah.
I think that transparency and being genuine are the values I hold dearest and closest to me. So I don't know. Who knows which one of us has the truth? Could be you, could be me. All I know is that if I'm wrong, at least I will have died being kind to everyone I've met.
Hard right turn, but totally related. Have you ever heard of Marshall Rosenberg?
Maybe. Sounds like a cousin.
Yeah, it probably is. He's dead now, old man. He lived up until recently, though, and he created the concept of nonviolent communication. Do you know about that?
Do I know about nonviolent communication?
It was very specific. He has like a whole course on this thing that he titled nonviolent communication.
No, tell me about it.
Oh, I was only kind of like guessing that maybe you did, because it's all
No, I've
about
never spoke
empathy.
to Rosenberg.
Well, he's this old Jew who's now
Yeah,
dead.
I can imagine.
But yeah, he's this old. And anyway, I found out about his work in like 2011 or something, and somebody was pressing it on, some hippie up in the Bay Area who I knew was all about it. And it's like, this is the cure for all the bad relationships and stuff. And it's this whole style of listening and speaking in a way that's just like totally empathy forward in every way. And it's not just the idea of being empathetic, but it's like strategies and tools and tactics for using empathy in communication and keeping it wrapped around so the question's like, so when this happened, you felt like this. So it's like really like getting to the root of the feeling going on in the other person until you really hear it in them and understand it and are seeing it. And then also you're getting confirmation from them that you're seeing and hearing what they're actually feeling. And then they also start to feel that you feel the way they feel. And like there's a whole, he's aiming at like extreme empathy. And he does these workshops for people, and it's about conflict resolution and all this rest of the stuff. It's kind of fascinating, and I didn't know anything about Jews yet, so I wasn't judging them. Not that I judge Jews now.
Anonymous sent $3. I am 25% Jewish, and I have to say fuck Israel did 9/11. The founders were based Wignets. Jews need to be removed from government and corporations, and all need to be deported.
Yeah, so like 10, 11 years ago, I found this guy, I'm the host of On the Internet with BigTech. I do not necessarily support all the views of my super chatters, although that one I'm pretty sure was correct. I have to re-listen. But yeah, anyway, so it's almost like you guys are doing NVC, nonviolent communication, the Marshall Rosenberg thing, but I'm not sure if you guys even know about him. It seems to have just sort of like permeated the left culture through different types of books, and a lot of authors write about his ideas, and they don't necessarily cite him or claim him or something. I've noticed that.
Well, I think it's a general idea, and it's a philosophy built out of not thinking that there's going to be an afterlife, so making this life livable, right? And the only way we can do that is pacifying each other, which feels like a big lie to someone like you. Like we're just like pacifying each other with like feelings and then staying quiet and like trying to understand each other feels very like foreign. When like it could be we're all lying to each other constantly.
But this is the thing you got to understand. This is why we call it Jewish, and that thing you just said is essentially the outcome of the Semitic mindset. Like that's common to to Judaism.
It's common to any secular people, and I think that most Jewish people are not that religious. So I think it's right. I think it happens to be also Jewish people, but I think it's just atheists also, and I think that a lot of Jews are atheists, but they're culturally Jewish.
Now you're getting it. So like atheism, secularism.
So it's not Jews.
But the thing is, look,
it's people who aren't Christian. But when you name that,
but where does not being Christian come from? It comes from Jews, and I can prove it. But we don't have to do that right now. But yes, the secular, atheistic, YOLO mindset is literally a phenomenon of Jewish thinkers, Jewish writers, Jewish influencers, Jewish psychologists. It's the Jewish impulse.
Yeah.
All the way back, and still today, all right up to the top. It's so when we find Jews in these positions of power, or we find Jews writing these books, Sam Harris, when we find yada yada yada, whatever,
like
a million things. The Jewish atheist who wrote the Letter to a Christian Nation, which attacks Christianity. No, not a big fan. And also he talks slow and dumb and bugs me. But the thing about it is, essentially, we have a nuanced understanding of this, but we're almost speaking in synonyms here. So again, we're not saying every Jewish individual is responsible for the cabal, but we're saying it's a Jewish thing happening in America, and we don't like it. But it's not all Jews. It's like no, but like it's like saying that it's like saying that Mexican food is spicy. It's like this. That's like it's sort of like well, not all Mexican food. It's like, well, yeah, but like what we're talking about like habanero peppers. We're talking about salsa. We're talking about it's gonna have spice. I mean, that's kind of like
I get
it goes with
I
it.
I really understand everything you're saying. Like I really do. I think, and I think that that's like I understand your worldview because it would make sense. Like I mean, the reason why I feel the way that I do is because there's an absence of Christ in my life, right? Like I don't have faith. I have to live in the right now, right? To make sense of my world.
Based Gosling sent $3 from our perspective as Christians. All secular worldviews originate from those who did not follow Christ.
Yeah, really.
Sure.
Real. And we can track it through history that it literally is traceable, that is how it actually went down. And but yes. Go on with that if you want. What you were saying about the lack of Christ.
Yeah, so there's like an absence of Christ in my life, right? So there's not like a sure thing. So I'm sitting around because I I don't believe in God. Like
Yeah.
I can't logic my way into the belief of a God without seeing any proof of it. With the, with the existence of suffering, with the childhood I had, like there's no, for me
Right.
it doesn't seem like it exists, right? So I try to make sense of my world in the ways that I know how, and a lot of that is like nothingness for me. Um so I think that there's like this existential like, and people were bringing up how I called myself like a truth seeker and said that I was a Nietzsche simp when like I know that truth is a lie. Like I know that there is no like I know that I could possibly not ever know the truth ever, and it is likely that I won't. Um but you have to believe in something, right? To like because we cannot make sense of this world without something like God. And since I don't have that, I make sense of it through lies, the same way that I think that you are making sense of your life through lies, right? Like these things we tell ourselves so we don't like throw ourselves in front of a train.
Right. I know what
Mine
you
are just
mean.
different to yours. Mine are just different to yours because I don't really know why, right? Like I think I could be a happy Christian also. I think I could be a
Yeah.
happy Christian if I just convinced myself that God was real and whatever, but I'd always have doubts, and I'd
Mm.
rather not hold myself to something and then punish myself while I'm living, because then again, you think that there's an afterlife. I think there's only one life, so why spend this one life punishing myself for things that I want to do? That doesn't like make like a ton of sense to me, to like, abstain from sex when I want to have sex, or to abstain from, you know, all these things that I want to do because I only think I have this life. So
Mm.
that makes sense in my worldview. And it's so hard to, because I respect that this is your worldview, and I respect that you're fighting for it also. I think that vigor and passion is commendable. But again, like if I never change my mind and you never change your mind, how do we live
Politically
together?
Provoked sent $3. Hey bitch, this is
Oh.
Brittany from Politically Provoked. You're a
Oh.
lying, manipulative bitch. There's no way you're 12%
Rare.
Jew because I'm 50% Jew and you're way more Jewy than I am.
I don't think that's true.
You think she's more Jewy than you are?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Go on. Go
I
on.
mean, she is 50% Jewish.
Yeah, yeah,
That
mom.
means one of her
Both
parents is
her both
completely
of her
Jewish.
parents are half Jewish.
Oh,
Which she's
interesting.
also said before that makes her 25% Jewish. I
I
think.
don't think she's very bright.
Oh, she's saying that she didn't send that? Was that a different somebody impersonating Brittany?
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
That's
she said
even
she didn't
better.
send it. Lol. Lamau. Shots fired. Brittany's Jewish. Lol.
But
She
anyway,
was
how do we live in harmony? How do we do it?
great question. You want me to actually? I'll answer that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the solution to the empathy problem is to just forget about that. Replace empathy with compassion. And compassion comes from love, not logic. Not bending your mind into somebody else's
Renry sent
body.
$5. I am sorry for what happened to you when you were a child. I will pray for all of those who call themselves Jews so that they may know Christ. You and Brittany are
Nice.
broken people with a lot of anger.
Hugs. Can we get some hugs in chat? Hugs for our broken women, broken angry Jew women. Just
Can we
kidding.
get some more
We
money for
can we get some hugs
our
and money.
broken Jewish women?
Mm-hmm. True. I'm not doing bad these days. The money coming in, that kind of rules. I get paid to hang out with my bros on the internet and
Pretty
talk
pretty
to
sick
interesting
life.
people. Pretty cool. Doesn't
Yeah,
suck.
pretty
Hang
cool
out with
life.
Steve. See if I can just keep Steve from messing me up. Yeah. Without being cliche about Christianity, while I mean I hate even saying that, but I mean for your sake, just like I'll become Christian and God will fill you with love and you'll become compassionate and or something like that. Um, what is to me the most profound part of Christianity and understanding God's love more and more myself
Nugget sent $3. Lav's face has a severe allergy to water. You don't want to look at her when she's out of the shower.
I look like this.
Dude, these jokes. My boy's got jokes.
I look like this. This is my makeupless face. I put a little bit of lipstick on because my lips were looking crusty, but this is what I look like fresh out of the shower, boys.
No comment.
Bask in
But
my glory.
nothing personal. I don't comment on people's looks.
Good. That's a good value, I think.
Says, I usually don't, unless I'm just being mean. Somebody says we can't see Dono Bar. Oh, well, I mean, you guys are doing fine, so I'm not hitting you with it. I'll leave it like that for a little bit. There we go. We're about halfway. Let's go. Lav's gonna sing a song when we hit the goal. What song are you gonna sing? Did you pick already? We can let you think about
White Christmas.
it. Let's go. That sounds nice, actually. It's one of our favorite songs around here.
Yeah, I bet.
Cool. Okay, so even in non-Christian Western culture, we have concepts like the glory of dying in battle and going to Valhalla, which reflects the glorious idea of self-sacrifice. And in that, and especially in the ideal, like crystallized, refined expression of it in Christianity, where you're actually a living sacrifice of love. Love turns into a thing that's just all about cheerful giving. And it's about self-forgetfulness, which Eckhart Tolle fan would enjoy that concept. And he pays sort of like lip service respect to Christ in certain ways, which are good, I guess. But he doesn't seem to go all the way in, which I don't mean to criticize that, whatever, just like whatever. But Christian love is about like, it's not just getting over your ego, but it definitely is that. But it's really, it's about a re-identification of yourself, like a new ego. But instead of an ego, which is a mask of false self-concern that you have about yourself, meaning your reputation, your well-being, your future, your status, your happiness, your success, your satisfaction, there becomes a joy in self-forgetfulness, meaning that there's like a fulfillment in not giving a fuck about yourself anymore and becoming other-focused in a particular type of way where you take joy from the joy of others.
Based Gosling sent $3. I would like to recommend a book for Lav, Nihilism, The Root of the Revolution of the Modern Age by Seraphim Rose.
I'll write it down.
Yeah. I've been recommended that one too. That might be the next one I do. I actually just read kind of like a book for Catholic babies. I'm becoming one, by the way. I'm not even a Catholic yet. I'm just like learning about Catholicism and, tiptoeing my way in. But I read a great book. I'll recommend this one to you too. I've been recommending it to everybody, but I think I should keep doing it. It's called Rome Sweet Home. It's about Roman Catholicism. Rome Sweet Home, and it's written by a husband and wife who were anti-Catholics, but they went to theology school together, separately. They were in ministry together. They went through like a crisis in their family after being married and having kids about like whether or not they were going to abandon their whole concept of God and switch to Catholicism, which they were against the whole time. But they figured out all sorts of stuff, and it's a narrative, like a story about their journey. It's very interesting. I think everybody should read this book just because it's fascinating, if you're even a little interested in Catholicism. But I know the Wilsons are Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, which is still Catholic, but it's just like there was a schism and two different types of liturgy or whatever. But both of them are not Protestant, just sort of like a California Christian or a Mormon or anything that you or I was brought up in. But where were we? So the point is, like, the solution to the empathy problem and the meaning of life and all of that, it's like, look, the problem with the empathy thing is that while it can be great for smoothing over and rounding the harsh edges of interpersonal conflicts and reaching resolutions in a less violent way, we can sometimes reach nonviolent resolutions, agreements. We can come to agreements we can diffuse tensions. We can allow people to feel better rather than to feel really bad in the moment while you're talking to somebody. While you're dealing with somebody, you can help to make them feel better But what that achieves is not like justice. It doesn't achieve morality. Like, you can't have ethics based on empathy. Empathy is a tool for helping to make things go smoothly. But that doesn't make it ethical or unethical. That just makes it like pleasant or unpleasant. But that's not what ethics is. That's not what morality really is. That doesn't help you choose right and wrong. That just helps you navigate, a smooth interaction versus a rough, and, you get in a fight or you come into a handshake. Like, that's not ethical. That's just kind of
I
like,
think that's another difference, is that to me, right and wrong is like very subjective, or to you, there's like a set of rules. So I think that empathy also exists because I think that things are subjective, which is why I'm here and able to have a conversation with you, where like a lot of people who don't agree with you like wouldn't be able to. So I think that there's values in Jewish thinking. You're existing in Jewish
Johnny
conversation
sent $3.
right now.
Hey, is this the new Ye24 logo? Based AF.
let me pull that up. Well, I mean, really kind of though, I think just supported what I'm saying, is that with this thing that you have called,
You just said everything
empathy,
you just said about forgetting yourself, I think is incredible. And it's a lot of why I'm really curious about Catholicism, is because I think that that's a really beautiful sentiment that I would love to devote my life to.
yeah,
The
it's
problem
epic.
becomes then like just how do I get myself to believe in God? Like, if I believe in this book and all these rules because I think that they're going to help me and I'm going to live a better life, like, how do I believe in something that I've never seen? I just don't think that that's possible for me. I feel like I'm a Catholic apologist, but I'm not quite there.
Well, for me, what I do is I just decide that I want to believe in God, and then I decide to devote myself to finding Him.
Hot dogs for sale sent $3. I know one agreement that would help out a bunch. A Havara agreement. Lavlune, are you familiar with that? Chungus sent $3. Ask Lav if she considers religiosity to be a delusion. I'm curious of her response.
Havara agreement and
not anymore of
religious
a
delusion. Go ahead.
Yeah, for the first thing, I don't know what that is. The second thing, I don't think that religion is any more of a delusion than what I'm functioning in. I think that we all tell each other things to keep us like alive, so that we don't throw ourselves in front of like cars moving traffic. So I don't think that it's more or less a delusion than what I say.
Lead for your head sent $5. She's still cute. She's not the King Zionist Mafia Don. Have your guest look up Wretched on YouTube. Guest, please watch some of the videos. Your brain will work with this. You don't have to play the whole video.
Quick, name the single most terrifying verse in the Bible. Did you guess Ananias and Sapphira?
Wrong.
Did you guess the fall of man and sin's consequences? That's scary.
No.
How's about Romans 3? Nobody's righteous.
No.
What about not everyone who says, Lord, Lord? That's a scary verse.
No.
But it's not the scariest verse in the Bible.
Ooh, which one is it?
Well, me. All of these verses are scary in that they inspire a deep fear of the Lord within us. That's a good thing. But the most terrifying verse in the Bible, if and you ask me, and I know you didn't, I would say it's Mark 10:18. Jesus speaking with the rich young ruler. And he informs this self-righteous fellow, nobody is good. Only God alone is truly good. Now, why would that be terrifying? How can God's goodness put a fear of the Lord in us? To explain, here, this kid, fresh-faced and up and coming, lots of potential. Paul Washer.
It's terrifying to know that God is good because we are not. So what does a good God do with people like us? Sinners. We've sinned against God. We've sinned against one another. We've sinned against nature. We've sinned against everything. All of creation calls for our condemnation. If God is truly just, then what does He do with us?
If your conscience hasn't been entirely unplugged, you know the answer to that question. The problem is most people's consciences are seared. So how can you help someone understand only God is good and you're not?
Wow. Okay, that's over.
Mark Newcomb sent $20. Faith is a choice. When you make that choice, a path unfolds. The longer you keep on the path, the closer you become to God.
Thank you for the 20, Mark. And it's
The
exactly
Holocaust
what
is
I'm
a
saying.
conspiracy theory. Sent $3.
Oh, boy.
I only believe in things I can see directly, says the dumb bitch that believes in the bet she doesn't even know or believe Israel had a hand in 9/11. Does she know
Oh,
about the
geez, come
dancing
on.
Israels and urban moving systems? LMFAO, what a dumb
Oh, my God. All right. Look, I told them to pay to send you insults. So, but actually, I was going to ask, maybe I'll just hit you up afterward. Sometimes it's wrong to assume that someone like yourself might have been down certain types of information rabbit holes, if you will, you sort of got to seek them out to learn the things that I'm talking about. Like, oh, this is common knowledge. Of course, everybody knows that these people are behind this or that. And you might be like, what? And so I might need to actually, maybe I'll just like put on a seminar, invite you to come and check some things out and present like, hey, but what about this? Look, do you know these connections? And then you'll go, wow, that actually is hard to explain with the idea of a coincidence. Or maybe not, but you might just learn some things that you just didn't know were things that we did.
Least
to us, it's
open
like
to
they're
seeing your
very important.
worldview. Yeah, I'm
Sorry?
at least
Yeah,
open
you're at
to.
least open.
I'm,
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. I think you would be, actually. It might be interesting. And you could fight back and go kicking and streaming if you wanted, but it might be just fun content to just do a review of some ideas. All right. Oh, and somebody's asking to go back to the Havara agreement. Okay, well, let's get that done and then we'll go back to what we're talking about. You said you don't know what the Havara agreement is, and
No.
I'll just tell you quick for the super chatter. Did you know that in so the war started in 39, part 2. But Hitler was already in power many years before that. He was on Time magazine. He caused an economic boom in Germany at the time that we were going through a Great Depression. He was like the man. It's like when Ye is like, there's a lot of great things about Hitler. Well, he was renowned around the world as being like a badass, great guy, restoring Germany after the horrors of World War I. Total comeback king. And in 1933, 6 years before the war happened, which he tried to not happen, by the way, he was begging people for peace and trying to make treaties. 6 years prior, the Havara Agreement, you can look it up, it's just everybody knows about it, was an established agreement between him and a bunch of rabbis to help them go to Palestine and get their
Khabib
place.
sent $10. What's up, BigTech? Hi, Lav.
What's up, Khabib? Thanks, bro. Thanks for stopping by earlier. Khabib's a good supporter. He just says, what's up?
Georgism Respecter sent $3. If we're reading books, try Autobiography Before the Dawn by Israeli Zali, the chief rabbi of Rome, renowned Talmudic scholar, authority on Semitic philology, and his conversion to Catholicism after repeated personal debates with Pope Pius XII.
Could you throw a link to that book in the chat, please, so I don't have to try to type it up right now, but I'll put it aside in the tab. Thank you for that. I'd be interested in that one. I got it in the super chats. I'll try to remember it too. But if you throw me a link, I can just pull it up easy. All right, so that's what the Havara Agreement is. It's, a lot of people don't know that Hitler was trying to work with the rabbis and the Jews to just like make a peaceful exit strategy for them to be able to have their homeland back, go back, like the diaspora who was stuck in Germany, which a lot of them were refugees from Russia after the Communist Revolution and the Bolsheviks and all this crazy shit. And he was like, look, it's not working out. There's some problems. There's ethnic conflicts. There's cultural conflicts. What if we like help you get to Palestine and resettle you there? And the rabbis were like, really? All right. And they made a treaty and like an agreement for how it would work out. And it was underway. It was like a, decade plan to get this massive movement going, but it was a peaceful exit and a place for a peaceful separation, like a divorce. But it's like, all right, you go your way, and we're not going to kill each other here. 6 years later, communist pressure from the one side, problems with Britain pressuring over here, things going on in Poland, all sorts of pressures united to where he started like rapidly executing a plan of like, all right, let's get on the train. We're going to pull you guys together. We're going to get you out of here. Then the war ended and a lot of people starved and died. It's like, essentially that's like another way of telling the story, but he gets turned into the most evil monster of all time. But he was like trying to The Havara Agreement is one of the things, and we have many, that shows that he was working toward a peaceful resolution for years. And they had a whole other thing in mind than how it went down. That's what that super chatter wants me to tell you about. In the middle of us talking about something else, by the way, but thank you for that chat. And anybody who's interested in
he
that,
said
look up
please.
the Havara Agreement. He said, please, please. Yeah, he said, please. Yeah, Hitler was like, could you, if you don't mind, would you please go to, would you please go to Palestine? Get the fuck out of here. Okay, that's Arnold. That's like Austrian.
Yeah, that was that was actually the Terminator.
Yeah, what if Arnold played Hitler in a movie? That would be so cool.
Actually, crazy. I think Quentin Tarantino's directing that one.
Yo, babe. Hey, stop deleting Brittany's chats. She's annoying, but let him be. Whoever's doing that. Oh, it's probably Matt Mondi. All right. Well, actually, that's just gonna be how it's gonna be. But Map, stop it. All right. They're battling. Brittany has a particular reputation around here in my chat. She doesn't get treated too kindly.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I can't imagine why. Exactly. All right. Where were we? Oh, yeah. It was like, how can you believe in God? I mean, like, for what it's worth, if you're interested, you could try my way. Just like want to find God. Start there. Just be like, you know what? I don't believe and I'm having trouble seeing. If there's a way to see God, I ain't found it. I don't, I wanna. And, maybe I had my certain times before I was caught up in a false belief. Or I don't know what even. I'm just going to leave all that behind. Starting from here. Look, if you're there, can you like show yourself to me and like maybe like what the heck, dude? Like, where are you at? Can you open my eyes? Like, can you give me faith? I don't have faith. Can somebody give it to me? Like, I'm not seeing. Can somebody make me see? I wanna. And like that, I think, is the first step. To me, that was my first step. Like, that's what worked for me. So that's what I could say. It's just like, there's something about a contrite spirit of also recommending. I think that type of seeking, if it's just morbid curiosity or just like vain seeking, that's one thing. But if it really has come from a place, I think God does actually, there's a spiritual connection that gets made in a contrite spirit. Somebody who's like, all right, I can tell there's something maybe missing. I'm kind of screwing up here. And it might actually be causing, I don't know. I'm kind of prideful here, so I'm having a hard time even blaming myself for all this because I'm just an ape as far as I could tell. I'm trying to live my life, so how could you blame me? But maybe I'm screwing up. All right, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I don't see the whole picture. And there are some things I've done in my life that I wish I could have done better. And there's some things I'm kind of, maybe some other people have that I don't have that I would like to. I want to be more loving. And I'm not really being as loving as I could. I want to be more like the idea of like being a noble character, having a noble personality and being like a living sacrifice of love toward everybody. That kind of is moving to me. And that's better than what I am. I'm kind of not on that level. I suck a bit. So a contrite spirit, at least a bit of repentance, a bit of dropping, recognizing, I can put my pride aside. And I'm not saying that this is you or something. I'm just saying like these are like the first steps for anybody.
I do that.
Like,
yeah.
So I would say like, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So like you're already there, but I would just mix in just like some faithful, loyal, sticking with itness of just like, I'm going to look for you till I find you, fucker. Like God, like if you're out there, I'm going to find you. And honestly, maybe I can't do it on my own steam. So I'm just going to beg you to show yourself to me. Please, please, please. If you got to humble me, if you got to take things from me, if my hair's got to fall out for me to find you, like, Lord, God, just go ahead and take my hair. Like whatever it costs me, if I got to be humbled to a certain level, whatever it is, I want it that bad. Can you please, I don't want to die without figuring out the mystery of this whole thing. That would suck. Like, let me see you and make me worthy of being able to be like part of what you got going on because I don't want to miss the boat. Like, I really want it. And if you stick with that, I'm pretty sure you can't go wrong. And in my experience, God has a way of bringing new things in your life, new ideas
Georgism
come to
Respector
mind.
sent $3
happen.
if you want a compendium of modern high-profile Jewish conversions to Catholicism and their stories. Read Honey from the Rock. 16 Jews Find the Sweetness of Christ by Schumann. Excellent book.
Interesting.
Yep. So
I think
that's my. What do you think about that?
well, I think I've always had like a religious spirit. I think I've always tried to devote my life to things outside of myself and ground myself with something bigger than me. But it's really, again, I'm like a skeptic, so it's really hard for me again to obviously believe in things that I can't see. And I think that that's why ultimately the Baphomet tattoo. I think that's why I found like paganism, right? Because suddenly I had like this tie, but it was like to the physical world. So like there were reasons why the seasons changed. There were reasons why all these things were happening, and I could see the seasons changed. Like I could see the seasons change. I could see the moon. I could see all of these things, and that like made sense to me, in a way that I just like I can't quite grasp Catholicism or Christianity yet. Maybe I will. Who's to say? I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that this time next year I could be religious. Like I could. Like I could be. I'm very open to the idea of being that. But I think that there's also a lot of and I feel sheepish saying this because I don't think it's an admission of that I am Catholic yet, or that I want to be. But I've done so much like I have like a Baphomet tattoo on me. Like I've slept with over 30 people. Like I've done things that are very
Ew, yuck. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, like I've done things that are like very antithetical to this belief.
Cool story. Lady sent $3. Women can't read. She will read none of those books. Unironically, get rid of the glass, dye your hair blonde and invest in some blue color contacts. Then you'd maybe be halfway attractive.
Oh my God. Roasted.
I wasn't a very attractive blonde, actually. It doesn't work with my skin tone. I'm too olive. But I worry about all these things because I don't, in like a God-fearing religion, I just don't think that there will be a lot of grace for me. Which is like another reason as to why I'm so apprehensive. One of the many, but I think a big one. Like I've already done so much. How much I'd have to repent for the rest of my life. Constantly. I'd have to do 60 Hail Marys a day for the rest of my life.
That makes sense. So you're screwed. You should just give up.
Dude, that's what a lot of Christians kind of treat me that way also. So it's like, how do I win?
Yeah. Well,
because all these people don't care. It doesn't feel like any of these people in chat care whether or not I become Christian. They think I'm already tarnished.
Are
already
you doing
ruined.
a Jewish manipulation? Are you pulling on their heartstrings for sympathy right now? You son of a
No.
gun.
No, I genuinely feel this. I genuinely feel this way.
Should call it out.
Jewish manipulation.
Yeah. Don't let her get you like this. Don't give in, boys. She's trying to make you feel guilty. She's trying to play for your sympathy.
Stop.
She's making you empathize. No, don't do it.
No, but it's hard.
No, but you're
like, what
you're
do
right. I saw one comment go by in the chat that said, "Pray for her repentance and salvation." That was nice. There was one.
Sure.
There was one. Actual Christian groiper in my chat who said a Christian thing and didn't just shit on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, you might have to just do it all by yourself too. I mean, but the thing is, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. It's just like, just stop pushing away is literally the only thing that's required. It's not 60 Hail Marys a day. And honestly, if it was that, then if you had the right attitude, you'd be like, oh, awesome. Like, God forgives me and I get to go to heaven and I have his spirit with me now and I'm full of joy. And now I get to do 60 Hail Marys a day forever. Like, you would actually enjoy it. But the point is, it really isn't even that either. Like, I think you know the Bible and you know the story of the prodigal son and how he returns. Like, the whole story is a metaphor.
Anonymous sent $3. If Lav is worried her sins will keep her from God, remember that Mary Magdalene, the prostitute, was forgiven her sins, and became a good friend of Jesus. She was one of the first to see his empty tomb.
Real and true. And by the way, to everybody who sees me like, pouring my heart out to Lav, and you think like, oh, she's not going to listen to you, she's too far gone or whatever, you might be right. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I'm saying what I have to say for the 280 people listening. Well, for the handful of you that it matters to a lot, I'm saying it as much for you guys as it is for her. But like, this is just my message. I'm speaking to if I'm in the crowd, to me who needed to hear this when I did, I'm talking to that guy as well. So I'm talking to Lav, I'm talking to him, I'm talking to you. And so this is what I want to do here. Like, for real. But hold on, we'll let this
Anonymous sent $3. There is absolutely no sin that Christ won't forgive. The Apostle Paul literally killed Christians, literal murder, before becoming one of the greatest saints.
Well, thanks,
Lead for your head sent $15. She's still cute. Being in your 20s is hard because the world deceives all. The female guest should know the Trinity. Then the problem is solved. Wretched Radio on iTunes or YouTube is a good way to learn. A very logical way.
Is from a summer.
Oh, this is
Should
the guy.
I forgive myself for
boy.
the
Okay, we're gonna
sins
play
I
this
commit?
after. I'm gonna pause this one.
You should do something better.
No worries. That guy is creeping me out. Maybe I would learn to love him if I watched him and found that he was really cool. But he is creeping me out. I just gotta be honest. That guy creeping me out.
That's funny.
But the thing is, but you know, right? Because you were raised in it, so like you already know. So I can't even like tell you. Yeah, but the whole thing is about forgiveness through repentance, and it's just about like just turn back to your Father. He loves you. He really does, even though you've been a hoe. Like, dude, like the whole story of the Bible is like the Jews, your people, they had like a special gift that they were given, like a covenant with God and a promise, and they straight up fucked it up for over and over. They turned to like false gods and child sacrifice, and they brought bad altars in they misused the temple, and King David like killed another man to take his wife, and it's like full of scandal. And God is always like, look, if you just come back to the right way, you won't be destroyed. Like if you just come back to the thing, like that's the story all the time. And then the prodigal son is Jesus telling that story again in a beautiful allegory. He's like, the guy went and just fucked off all of his inheritance, and he was selfish, and he squandered it, and he partied and got wasted. And he's living with pigs, and he was like, oh, I'm wretched, and I'm so embarrassed. And all he had to do was just like start walking back to his dad's place. And his dad like went running to him and puts rings on his fingers and throws him a feast. Like that's the story that we have about what God is like. And I'll tell you, for me, like that's real. Like that's just like really how it is. God doesn't care. Like you think God hasn't seen everything already? Like everything everybody's ever done? Like you think he's shocked by what you did? And he's like, no, I can forgive everybody except Lav. She's too far gone. It's really, he's just like, my daughter like wants me again and I can have her again. He's just like, yeah, let's go. Like the angels like get excited. For every one of us, it like really is like that. Like we were created for like an amazing purpose, and we're his lost sheep. So it's like, I mean, that's the beautiful side of Christianity, that it really do be like that.
And
even for you,
it really do be like that. And I think that there's like such a beautiful sentiment in stuff like this.
Even for Stephen Bonnell,
not him. He's a Jew through and through.
Even him.
But no, I think like there are people like you or Rachel Wilson, or there's this woman, God is Gray, on YouTube that like really got me thinking during the pandemic that all of this feels really reachable for me. Who knows? I think I'm dabbling. I think I am dabbling. Obviously, I'm listening to Christian literature on Audible and.
Hot dogs for sale sent $5. Lavatory. The more I hear you talk, The more I realize you only defer to godless moral relativism. There's a reason Hitler
Hot dog.
did what he did after Weimar conditions. We have been entering them now, and you, like a fish, can't see the water around you.
Go.
His
we have
name.
some people around here
In
that are sort of-
1472,
they
the
got that
Jews in
one
the city
track
of Trent
mind.
determined to vent their hate against the
All right, we'll play
crucified.
that one too. I'm not going to scam you, but we'll play it. We'll put it off till after we talk. We'll play that. Thanks, Hot Dog Brazil. All right, so, well, that's encouraging and interesting. We're all interested and encouraged to hear that you're listening to stuff. I don't mean to like diminish it, but I mean like by hurrying it along, but just realized it sounded like I was doing that. But I didn't know you were doing it. I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know you were listening to Christian literature and talking to Based Homeschool Mom. She's my favorite of the Wilsons, by the way.
Yeah,
And I
she's
don't
my
blame-
favorite of the Wilsons also.
Yeah.
Andrew's a character.
He is. He's a character.
But it's hard though because but here's I think this is at least let me tell you where I'm at is because you know, a lot of Christians have been horrible to me. And a lot of Christians are horrible because people can be horrible and they can be misled by misinterpreting Christ and misinterpreting the Bible. And they can be very evil. But yet I still have like hope that that those people don't represent the whole of Christianity.
Georgism Respecter sent $3 when Israeli Zali, chief rabbi of Rome, converted to Catholicism. He was universally smeared by Jewish leaders as having gone insane. They claimed everywhere that he had lost his mind. Hence he wrote the autobiography. A riveting story.
Amazing. I pulled up that book, by the way. I found it. Thanks. Lav, are these super chats, are they becoming too much interruption? Are they bothering you? Or are you tolerating it okay and I can leave it?
Oh, I can handle it. You're making money. I can handle it.
That a girl. What a great attitude. Thank you. Let's
but
go.
but yeah, you that and I just worry.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to the empathy, but I just worry that you are thinking that these evil people who call themselves Jewish are like a representation of all of Judaism. And I think that even Jews really want like very similar things, and that they want to not follow Christ, but to follow God for the same reasons that you want to follow God in Christ. So when people talk about like re-education camps, or when people talk about like the Holocaust, or like killing people who don't agree, I just like, it just puts me off, this whole thing. Like I just can't. How do I agree with an ideology that's the end point? Like I just can't.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Absolutely. Well, can you empathize with us though? What's your, if you were to describe your level of empathy with why are we like this? In the same way, like why is Max doing what he's doing to Destiny? Why are we doing what we're doing?
Fear and desperation.
Wow. That's why are you saying that we're doing it for the same reason? Is that why Max is doing what he's doing? Or are you just saying that's us?
Yes, I think that Max wasn't protected as a child, and so he sees himself as, I mean, he's compensating for that, and that's out of fear and desperation that he felt in his childhood, and he wants to be for people what he wished he had. And I sort of think that you think the same thing about what you're doing.
And what do you think about that?
I mean, this is why I talk to you. I think I understand that. And it's so hard. It's so hard to, I cannot justify violence, and I won't. Like, that is one thing where I'm just like, the line is drawn completely. Like, if anything, a lot of things are up in the air.
What violence did Max do?
No, he didn't do violence, but I'm talking about like, people like advocating for
he went to
another fucking
war.
Holocaust.
He went to war against the subreddit. And we're at war with organized Jewry. But what violence are you talking about?
The Holocaust.
But we didn't do the Holocaust, and we're not gonna do one.
How do I know that you won't do one? How do I know that if more people buy into this idea that it won't happen?
Am
How do
I
I know that?
supposed? How do I limit myself and what I know is right to do by your fear that a Holocaust is going to happen?
Well, that's not what you have to do. It's more my apprehensive to sign off or to say that a movement is like okay when I think that I could be part of something that potentially hurts or even like kills people.
Yeah.
I don't. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
I wouldn't even want to insult you to your face. Like I don't. Like I wouldn't even want to insult you to your face. Like let alone do I want to actually like hurt or force anyone to do anything.
yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing is like potentially being like a part of something that hurts people, something that I could have stopped and not contributed to.
Yeah. So is that what it really comes? I mean, this is what we say all the time. It's almost like a cliche at this point, but it really is just. This is why we love what Ye did as much because only him, someone at his level of superstardom and ultimate, just like his level of power, his actual power level was displayed in his ability to push through. And we're doing an experiment to find out if anybody could do it, it would be somebody at the level of billionaire superstar, cultural icon, living legend.
Hot dogs for sale sent $3 since Jews hate their white liberators. Doesn't that prove that Hitler was right about them? Alternatively, if Jews feel free to attack their liberators and feel no guilt doing so, doesn't that prove the Holocaust never happened?
I've seen that copy pasta before. That was a word for word of another super chat I've seen before from Hot Dog Perspective. We'll come back to that question. We'll circle back to that. If he doesn't mind. But
Wait for making the goal.
We're so dang close right now. Oh, I might hit it.
Anonymous sent $3. She's still bringing up the Holocaust this deep into the bitch is unsavable and a Jew for life. Stop cucking big tech and let's get rid of this lad daiwi.
What do you want me to do?
Rennery sent $5. Thank goodness you have Israel, right, Lav? A Holocaust 2 can never happen because you can just go and live there. Literally the point of Israel.
Kind of, yeah.
And we hit the goal. Let's flipping go. Very
Incredible.
epic. So thank you guys, everybody. Thank you. Hit the goal. It's always nice having a lady here. She helps us get that money. We got that lady money. The goal came in. Nah, we hit the goal anyway. We always hit the goal. But we hit it. All right, so now Lav's going to sing White Christmas for us. Not right now. But will you actually sing White Christmas for us?
Maybe not White Christmas, but I'll sing a little Christmas song. I'll sing
You
couple
could pull up,
notes of
yeah,
a
you could
Christmas
pull up
song.
a karaoke in the Discord. I could play the music here if you could sing along with it. That'd be so cool. Why not White Christmas? That'd be great.
That's what I need people to see me do is sing
Come
to
on,
a couple
Cozy,
of
and
Nazis.
sing White Christmas. Yeah. Hey, take it easy. Yeah. If you don't call me Nazi, I won't call you pedophile or whatever.
Okay.
Well, but that point that was brought up in the super chat, it is like here's where a lot of the heads in the audience are at, and mine too. It's like, whoa, here we go back to the Holocaust. The Holocaust. What I was saying about Ye and what he's doing by challenging this whole, you can't talk about the Holocaust. You can't question it. If you say anything about Jews, it's anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is straight up banned and outlawed because of the Holocaust. So if you criticize us, you're basically threatening another violent action just like Hitler. You can't say that you thought Hitler was cool in any way because that proves just what we're saying, that we have the right to be afraid of violence. It's definitely going to be an outbreak. And it puts us in this, like a headlock. Like we are in a Holocaust headlock where it's like, we're like, but these are real things that we got to talk about though, guys. And they're like, no. Because if you do,
Holy shit.
Holocaust.
You know what is so interesting? Because you've, because agree that you're correct, actually. But I agree with putting you in that headlock. But I agree with you that it does exist. And I think that's so funny because, and again, I'm going to make a Max parallel because Max says that same thing about like trans people, and it really is like horseshoe theory, and it's like you can't say anything or go against the gender narrative because people are saying that these people are going to kill themselves if you don't agree with everything they say, even though you know it's not correct, which I think is really interesting.
Once again, it's exactly it.
This
is why I think he's so fascinating. But the thing is, like, no, but you're like, but you're putting this is why it's gaslighting. Almost 100 years ago, people in another land who speak another language, in another country, in another time, another culture, it was post-World War II Germans had a bad outcome of something they were doing. And now, because of that, you're putting a metaphorical gun in my hand and you're putting it to your head. And you're calling me and you're saying, like, don't you dare pull that trigger. And it's like, I don't have a gun and I'm not going to do it. And it's like, I just want to talk to you. And you're like, you're going to kill me. It's like, talk about gaslighting. It's like, there's no gun and it's not at your head. And like, stop acting like this. You're being unreasonable. If I mention this thing that appears to be organized Jewish influence in our institutions and in our culture that's having significant influence and outcome, and it's making changes that we don't like. And in fact, when we look at all these changes, we can find a common root. And it's like, why are you guys doing this?
Hugus sent $3 by Lav's logic. Why should we allow minorities into our country since it's well known that minorities are quite hostile and violent to white people? Shouldn't white people protect themselves just like Jews are still cautious about another Holocaust?
I gotta be perfectly honest. I was barely listening. What was that question? Hold on. By Lav's
it was
logic,
basically, yeah.
Why should we allow minorities into our country since it's well known that minorities are quite hostile and violent to white people? Shouldn't white people protect themselves just like Jews are still cautious about another Holocaust? I mean, there is an equivalence there. It might not be one-to-one, but self-preservation as an instinct, right? And if you're like, this makes me afraid that this could happen, so I want to preserve myself. So you're going to push whatever you can, not just for yourself, but everybody. Like, nobody wants a Holocaust to happen. Nobody wants a bunch of bloodshed. Nobody wants concentration camps and all the pain and suffering. And by the way, we don't want that either. For real, we don't want that. What happened in Germany, by the way, even if it was for our own self-preservation, the blowback for World War II, like what happened in Germany, was like, they say 6 million died in the Holocaust. Let's say it was. There was like 60 million who died in Germany. Men, women, children, elderly, fire bombs, and starving in the cold after the war. And like straight up, like imagine the economic meltdown of a military industrialized, totally mobilized country coming to a grinding halt. And then the winter comes. Like it was a nightmare. Plus the Russians brought literally like North Asian Mongols, like raiding bands and to like rape the women to death. They went through the towns. Like it's insane what happened in Germany after the war. And some people say that the Nuremberg trials, where they brought the Germans in to confess to their war crimes, it was really a show trial to kind of cover up the atrocities that were happening in Germany after the war. And it's like an unspeakable nightmare occurred. The Holocaust story is bad enough, but then on top of that, add something like a tsunami-sized wave that follows up the surfing wave of the Holocaust. It's like, I don't mean to diminish it and dwarf it, but I'm saying we don't want that. We really, really don't want to repeat what Hitler did. It's not a winning strategy, number one. It's not Christian, number two. And the outcome was literally to just create the UN. It gave the Jews Israel, and now they essentially run everything, and they have an infinite shield of Holocaust protection. It's like that was the opposite of what is going to work to solve this issue. That's still a real issue, but that's not our solution. We're not trying to Holocaust. We just want to talk about the organized Jewish influence honestly. And why is it the assumption that if we talk about it honestly, everybody's going to get so mad that they kill all the Jews? It's like, are you up to something that actually bad? I don't mean you, but I mean, it's like, and if not, then let's just talk honestly. And it's the constant refusal to speak honestly about it and openly that actually creates a tension of like, well, then what are you hiding? Like, why are you so defensive? And this whole insistence of like, you're putting an imaginary gun in my hand, putting it to your head and calling me the bad guy. And it's like, that's not even real. We're not trying to Holocaust you. We just want them to stop like pressing in toward like how long until like, minor attracted people gets added onto LGBTQ, and it's another, Lauren Rosenberg writing another article about how great it is that, and it's just like all the time. Not to mention the billionaires with the influence and the people behind BlackRock and another Sam Bankman-Fried or another Bernie Madoff, and they just happen to be Jewish. It's like a million things, but we can't talk about it because of the Holocaust. And it's like, that's not fair. That just ain't fair. And that's all we're saying. Like, that just ain't fair, bro. And so Ye comes out and he's like, yo, we're going to stop dissing Hitler and we're going to stop being afraid of the Holocaust talk. That number, it probably ain't even real anyway. I love a lot of things about Hitler. And it's like, screw it. We're doing it. We're going to have the conversation and we're just not afraid.
I think it has a lot to do with strategy and tact. And I think that when people like a 20-year-old inflammatory Nick wants to speak to the public on these things, and an extremely mentally ill narcissist like Kanye wants to talk about these things, people aren't going to listen.
That's my guy. That's my best friend.
You have chosen the wrong people to spread what you're saying. I think that you have done a better job in the way that you have explained it to me than any content I have ever seen.
Let's go. I'm the new leader. Nick Lavlune says I'm the best. I'm the new leader.
No, but
Give me the call. I think you have.
I think, and I know that this is cringe.
Politically provoked sent $3. Hey Lav, it's me again, Brittany. Sorry for my last super chat. I can be a catty bitch sometimes.
Oh my God.
The truth is I'm jealous of you. You're way prettier than I am and way younger. Maybe we can be friends and you'll come on my show this week.
But okay, anyway, as I was saying, like, it's just a matter of and I know that you think that this is cringe, but you are clearly empathetic. You're very collaborative in a conversation. You're very understanding. You have a lot of compassion, which I think are things that are needed when you have really tough, sensitive conversations like this. Because human nature is defensive and protective. People will not listen to things when you're being inflammatory and rude and narcissistic and egoic like Kanye. Like, people just don't listen to shit like that. And it really matters who it's coming from also. You have Kanye talking about shit like this in between harassing the mother of his children, in between like dating all these porn stars. Like, it's you've picked the wrong spearheads. Which looks really bad for you guys. And I think that's the biggest problem.
So you don't like Ye? What the?
I do not like Ye. I think that he is. I think he is. I truly just think that he is a narcissist. I think that he's the antithesis of Catholicism. I think it's disgusting the way that he has publicly tried to embarrass the mother of his children. I think it's disgusting.
What do you mean? What did he do? What are you referring to? I might just not know.
Talking about her in a sexual manner, like the way that he's spoken about her in songs before he went crazy, like sexualizing her to the general public is disgusting. And then also, like
your dog's mad again.
I know. Talking about
Anonymous sent $5. Spare me the empty sentimental platitudes laugh. The Jews killed anyone trying to talk honestly about this subject. There have been many empathetic speakers on our side, but what did they get? A bullet to the head by Jews.
Okay, that's a little dramatic. That's very female, very feminine. I'm going to need you to masculinize that up a bit.
Oh my God. You did not just do that.
You
stop crying because they killed you for trying to do the thing that you just I just said that
Yeah,
you should
stop
do.
being a victim. Stop being a
Yeah.
victim. Have you tried not getting shot? Cringe.
Yeah, duh.
Um,
Exactly. Be bulletproof. Yeah.
no, literally. No, but yeah, I think that EA is like a bad person. Also, I think that someone who goes into his line of work, I've been in the music industry, obviously, it's how I made my first little bit of success. It is a completely narcissistic and egoic industry in which you are just fueling self-desire and self-masturbatory behavior. And that is not conducive to this whole like godliness that he's portraying, and it's ridiculous. And also, he's being exposed right now for literally still like trying to hit up porn stars in their DMs. Like this guy is fucking. He's just doing anything he can for relevancy and attention, and it's sad. I
He's
think he needs
horny.
help. That's
He's
great.
just horny posting.
That's great, but
I'm just
the
kidding. I
problem
don't
is-
even know about
$3,
that.
It
I
seems
literally
like no
didn't
matter
have
how
problem
much
is the
logic you
hypocrisy.
use with Lav, it'd be impossible to get through her. Her blood weighs heavier than logic ever could. These people are innately impenetrable about Jewish power and manipulation.
Yeah, like that's racist. Like that's just
Yeah.
racist.
Yo, that was straight up racist. It's in her blood.
like
that's
that's
racist.
insane. That's insane. Like things like that are insane, and I know that that's not everyone. I know it's people with very small IQs don't have my Ashkenazi IQ.
Yeah, small wieners. Whoa.
Oh, sorry. My knees. My knee. I know that Brittany is watching. I'll try to cover
Georgism
him.
Respector sent $3 as disorienting as it is to learn of the Holocaust. It's far more SO when you learn it didn't even happen. Read Giant with Feet of Clay. It's free on PDF these days, a Google search away. Tug one string and the whole bag of lies comes tumbling out.
Giant with Feet of Clay. Know about that one? Yeah, we should do a Holocaust Was It Real stream.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Holocaust is real? Question mark.
Oh no.
Would you do that?
I know it was real. I have family members who survived.
Well, then what do you have to be afraid of? Hey, if they survived, then how was it real?
I'm
Does
not
it sound
afraid
that
of it.
deadly?
It's just it feels insulting. I'm not afraid of it. Go over it. But it's like it's just insulting. It's like
Then come
it's
debunk
just,
all the garbage.
well, how am I gonna debunk it? He's not even alive anymore.
How does knowing somebody? So your grandma didn't die in the Holocaust, therefore the Holocaust was real.
My grandpa's dad.
Your grandpa's dad. So your great grandpa didn't die, therefore it's a real thing that happened. I'm being silly in the framing, but the genocide was real because my great grandpa didn't die in it.
No, I have family members who also died in it.
Mm-hmm. I have family members who died in Vietnam. That doesn't make it a genocide.
I don't want to get into this.
I know. I'm just being silly. I'm just being obtuse.
Holocaust denial is kind of where I'm like, okay, we're going into weird territory.
See, we're just trying to soften it up. We're just trying to soften it up a bit so that we can talk. Because again, it's like this is back to the point before. It's not fair that we can't just talk openly. So then we end up memeing and we end up getting sarcastic and we end up getting sort of like abrasive and aggressive because it's like, yo, how come we can't talk though? Yo, fuck, that's not fair. And once we get to that point, then it starts getting all, it's tense. It's like, but if we could just, where is the space where it's like, yeah, this is the contained, approved place where people come to speak freely about this subject. Outside of this, maybe, don't do it at the Thanksgiving table. Don't do it at church. Don't do it at Christmas. Don't do it at a wedding. Don't ruin the party. Maybe don't do it at an elementary school. But over here, you can, and people will meet you here, and there's a public forum where they can speak freely, and everybody can think, and there's not going to be a bunch of lie and slander and character attacks on you just for having that opinion or thought, or all right, let's hear this out on this podcast and with this person at this time, and we'll have two experts, and we'll where that does, I don't know where that, I would know if that existed. We would all tune in. But it just doesn't. And
It should.
And it's because there's one side that goes, no. And it's your side, unfortunately. Your side goes, no, because you're going to kill us. You are murderers. You are all just like Hitler, and you have hate in your heart, and you're hate mongers. You really are just violent, hateful fuckers. So no. And it's like, hey, damn.
If you want to prove that it didn't happen, go ahead. I don't think that you will find that it didn't happen, so I'm not worried about a thing. But,
epic. Let's go. Let's go.
But it does make me sad. But you don't care. You don't care about empathy. It's not a masculine trait, apparently, to you.
I mean, I don't feel sad that you get sad about that. But I don't think that's what empathy really is. Because the thing is, I'm not looking at you feeling sad.
Uncle
actually.
Scrooge sent $5 every time that you call ye mentally ill, say that he went crazy, etc. It is so ugly, malevolent, and violent. So gaslighty. Please don't do that.
Yeah. What's your empathy level with Ye?
I hope that he gets help. I hope that he seeks therapy.
That's not empathy.
What do you mean? Well, I think
wishing someone well is just basic charity.
Sure.
Politically provoked sent $3. Seriously, girl, you need to close your legs. We can smell your rotten clam through the screen.
Oh my God,
I know
Brittany,
you're trying to air
stop
that thing out, but
sending
you're gonna
weird
need
things,
something
Brittany.
strong.
Jeez, she's out of control.
It is not in my value system to ever speak to another human being like that, and I genuinely pity you.
That was definitely
Especially
really Brittany and not
if
a
that
fake
actually
Brittany.
was Brittany. Yeah, that's like a woman to another woman, which is even more disgusting.
Yeah, Brittany, I can't believe you. That was not somebody impersonating Brittany. That was real Brittany, and she's out of control. She's saying it's not her in the chat, but I don't believe her.
I don't know. It sounds like something she's said before.
It does sound like something. She just doesn't stop thinking about you with the legs and stuff. Yeah, she's obsessed.
Yeah,
she's capping.
I think she's gay. I think she wants to kiss.
All right, now you're being inappropriate. So I'm gonna